I'll call to order this July 16th edition of the Jericho Selectboard meeting. In order to make our meetings more efficient, we are limiting public comment to the beginning of the meeting, also known as the public to be heard section. Tonight, we will allow discussion on the town meeting reimagined topic. But other than that, select board meetings are in the public, not of the public. Please do not use the chat on Zoom for anything other than technical issues. Please be respectful and please keep public comments to 3 minutes or less. With all that said, is there any public to be heard?
I think Joel has his hand up.
Joel, go ahead.
You're on mute, Joel. It's still muted. Oh,
there we go.
there you
Sorry
go.
about that. I usually do it off a laptop. Just real quick, I wanted to extend my appreciations to Jacob and his crew for my experience working with him down here around my property and the culverts and whatnot. I think he's got a hell of a team, and that's one of the guys that I think you should consider reinvesting in to keep them happy and talented. So I'm not commenting on the flowers. Number one. Number two, my understanding was that the expansion of the select board was to make select people more accessible. And about a week and a half ago, I had sent a direct request to both Amy and Peter about the idea of sitting down and meeting together. And that was a very targeted conversation in which I wanted someone else in this town to look at some of the unique hydrogeology that I found around the center that no one else is paying attention to. But also I wanted to bring Peter up to snuff on some of the other aspects and see if the two of them together could maybe come up with an idea of how to create a task force or some sort of a closer look at the fact that we've got over 20 buildings in the historic district here, and the knowledge base, the history of this is fading with every new family. And I think that there's an opportunity to make that more than it currently is. Like, people seem to think it's the library in the green, but 20 other houses around really I think states a message. And I think you've got enough people here, whether it's Tom Barabo and Ann Nagy or the Hooks or Bernie and Mr. Lacey, and it was Bob and Gail Shermer that brought me into this conversation a decade ago. So that was just my thought. I would still like to have that if there is another process that I need to pursue, to just have a sit down and a friendly little gathering whenever, wherever. I can guarantee you that due to my current work, I cannot become any further involved in anything. So I can point you in the right direction, provide resources, but for me to explain further would require executive session. So that's it. Thank you. Oh, and Paula.
Thanks for your comments.
Yeah, Paula.
Yes.
The room is still showing as Paula Carrier on the camera.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Love you guys. Thank you. Good work on everything.
Thank you. Other public to be heard? Sir.
Vince Camagno, Raceway Road, Jericho. So Jim Bentledge and I are friends, and he invited me to join in tonight, discussion of Raceway Road.
Oh, you know what? Why don't I know I didn't list that one as one to talk about, but why don't we allow commentary on Raceway Road when we get to it? You guys all right with that?
Yeah.
So yeah, I should have included that one in the list. Fair enough.
Okay.
Unless you have, so we'll save that, but you're welcome to have other comments on non-Raceway Road things. Cool. Other non-Raceway Road, non-TMRI, public to be heard. Okay. First on the agenda is to appoint Nate Zynenburg. Did I say that correctly?
Zynenburg, yeah.
Zynenburg. Sorry about that. As the lister to the town of Jericho. I don't know much about this.
We need
Kick us off.
Yes, I have not met Nate yet in person. I know he's been working for the town, but we are in need of a third lister as our assessor is stepping down at the end of July. So Lori had talked to Nate and asked him if he'd like to join the team. So that's it. If you want to know any little personal history from Nate.
What is it? I guess,
What's
what does it mean? Like, does he like come in and like, he'll like report to the town? Like we hire him, we subcontract, like, I guess I just don't know how.
We put him on the payroll. They come, I don't know how often.
He would be coming one day a week
Okay,
and doing the permits and, you know, assessing and then sketching and all of that type of stuff is what Terry had been doing. Martha and I do all the daily, you know, and weekly stuff, but he would be coming in on a one day a week to do those tasks to replace Terry. And as a lister, because Nate also lives in Jericho, so that was another plus. To have somebody local. And he works for Nimrick, he'll still resume that position with the company that did our reappraisal, so we have his expertise there. So I just thought it was a good match for what we needed in the office.
so you recommend that
I do
that we
recommend.
approve this?
I would recommend that name.
My only question is if we have any hiring process that we haven't done, like, do we, is it
Right, do we have
above
to
board
list it?
legal and we have to like run?
We're all
advertise
good.
it, or-
Yep.
I make a motion to appoint Nate Zynenburg as a lister to the town of Jericho for a term of 1 year.
I will second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Welcome aboard, Nate.
Nate.
Thanks, Nate.
Next on the agenda is review and consider approval of the errors and omissions from the Listers-Lori Dykema.
Lori, do you want to take on the omissions and errors?
Yep, do they have the papers?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, so the first one on the list, the Cattell Family LLC was, an error at the reappraisal time. His acreage got put in twice in two different categories, so he was being billed for 65 acres when he only had 32.5. I thought that was an important one to get done. So his tax bill reflects his actual property and not have to mess with crediting him and whatever later on. So that was why I put that one on there. The second one, the Adorcios, they live in a covenant restricted housing project. And the 30% reduction that's required by the state was not put on their record. So I thought, again, that needed to be put there so that financially everything is kosher for them. And we didn't have to go back and redo all of their stuff.
What does covenant restricted have to anything? to do?
Covenant restricted are homes owned by Champlain Housing Trust.
Oh.
So Champlain Housing Trust owns the land, they own the house.
Okay,
It's a condo.
Yep.
Up on Route 15. There's two of them up there. And then Cherry Hill Housing Corporation was, the 10% qualified housing was applied to the assessment and should have been put into the Nimrick system under contracts. So therefore it double dipped it. So we needed to put that one on here so that we can correct it. The reappraisal is complete. Hopefully tomorrow I'm coming in for special hours to fill out the RA 310 to close it. So all of our appeals and everything have been heard. The telecommunications have been dealt with. And out of all of it, we have only 5 that went on to BCA. So I'm very happy with the results of the reappraisal. Questions?
I have a question on the first one.
Yeah.
It says
Cattell
change,
Families LLC, yeah.
yeah, it says change from 981,000 to 212,000. And it says a change of 47,000.
Yeah, that was my
That
question.
math doesn't math out.
One second, I have it right here, hold on. On
well,
that,
up at the top, it says 981 to 934, that's 47.
Yes, it
And then it
was-
says,
I'm looking at the new one.
No, the new one
We
that
got a new
she
one.
sent
I
out.
got a new email today.
Yeah, we got it.
It does say the,
beforehand.
yeah,
What does that one say that you've got?
No.
The one you have, Eric, what's that one say?
Well,
Oh, it's
for the top one, this one, or
Yeah.
this one?
either one.
The top one is 47, that looks
okay.
right, and this one looks right.
To me, it looks what happened is what you did is you put the change to 212,940 for both of them. So it looks like
Oh,
you just did it, you did it twice.
You made an error on the top one, Lori.
Oh, I did.
The 212,940 just copied wrong.
Exactly.
Apologize. So the total then is going to be 477,400. Sorry.
Wait, that still doesn't make sense.
No.
Yeah. So it would be 477,400, so.
I don't think.
It should be 934,000 if you minus the 47,000.
Right, but no, his assessment went from 981 down to 477,400.
Then why is the,
Took off 32.5 acres.
47,000 is incorrect.
Yes,
The difference.
yes, I apologize for that. I'm sorry.
Wait, I'm sorry,
What?
that also doesn't make sense.
that doesn't make sense.
None of that makes sense because you more than halved it by only halving the acreage.
It's all built into the land table, so I don't have control of that. So when I took it down to 32.5, his new assessed value is
32.5.
477,400.
From 981?
Yep.
That's crazy. I would like you to double check that.
Actually,
Yeah.
yes, because I don't see
I-
it done. My bad. And I'll go downstairs and come back to this. I'm gonna go.
We'll move on.
pretty hard. I'm sorry, I apologize.
All right, we'll pause that agenda item and we'll come
Yeah,
back to
come
it.
back to me.
Can we approve the tax rate with that, or does that change anything?
That's in our favor.
No, I'm asking Amy and
Oh.
Brian. If that ends up being wrong, does that change the tax rate slightly?
It becomes a rounding difference, just offhand without running the numbers through.
Like literally it does change it, but it's gonna be microscopic change.
Correct.
What's our grand list total?
See. Before I speculate, I was gonna wait for Lori to come back and make the fix.
Okay, so the
What
problem is if I skip to the next agenda item, the next agenda item is gonna take an hour. Is my guess.
I see.
So I'm not sure what to do. And I don't want you to sit here through that. We could.
I'll go.
Supposed to do agenda changes at the beginning.
Oh my goodness. I'll go.
Jacob, go first. I feel like that's a quick one. Right?
I wanted here for the Raceway Road
Yeah.
stuff anyway.
Oh, that makes sense, yeah.
Does anyone have a sense of what Lori's doing and how long it will take? Is she like looking up a number or is she?
I think she's doing math.
Just be printing off the cost report for that parcel.
It's really hard to do that.
Oh, it's impossible. Yeah.
Is it just take a few minutes?
Yeah. you just
Okay.
just print.
Okay.
But my question to Brian and Amy is this gonna be a meaningful, is it gonna change this? Is it gonna change the grand list number? And if it does, then it changes the tax rate, which is what we're about to set.
It would be rounding because the difference in the greater scheme is. You think about the numerator and denominator, it's $5,000 because it's divided by how much? It's 5,000 divided by 13 million. It's.
But it will still be a decimal proof
It's-
that we
it's
have to
rounded.
prove.
But what I will do,
Go out. Accurate. Right.
It goes out of ways.
That's true.
It's a rounding issue, but what's our significant figures on how far out we go in the tax rate in decimals?
2, 3.
it truly is rounding, Peter, and you had the 4 zeros and a 3, this goes out to 6.
I think, yeah. What would be the detriment if we waited on that 2 weeks?
Oh, I don't wanna wait too
No,
long.
no.
I'm just waiting till later in the meeting.
That's fine.
So is the
It's supposed to rerun
the
it.
new municipal grand list 13,073,467? That doesn't sound right. Is that right?
No, that's right.
Take a little spot.
It's okay, because what we do is we take the grand list, divide by 100.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay,
I know.
that makes perfect sense why you do that. Why not just divide by 100 when you can?
Obviously.
Okay, so you're saying the number we're dealing with is going, let's say it's off by,
Third of a tenth of the percent.
Divided
It's
by-
3
5,000.
This goes
Is that what
to,
you said?
this goes to
thousandths
six
of a
cents.
percent.
Mm-hmm.
Tax rate goes to 6 cents on one thing.
5, wait. 5, am I reading that wrong?
But don't him and Amy need to go back up and redo the numbers and print a new thing?
There you go, yeah. Thank you. And we'll take the square root of that negative number.
Yeah.
Mhm,
Okay, so due to this,
mhm.
hopefully the open meeting law people will forgive me, but we're supposed to make any agenda changes at the beginning of the meeting, but due to unforeseen circumstances, I'd like to move the agenda item to review and consider approval of discontinuing a section of Railroad Circle for Joe Flynn up to the top. Or is there any concerns with that from the board?
No.
Is there any concerns with that from the public? Come on up, Joe.
Thank you. I was trying to be quiet back there, but. Well, if you wanna hand these to the select board members, I printed that out this evening before the office.
No, that's all.
Basically, what you're getting is, sections of Title 19 Vermont Highway Law that pertain to this, the process and so on.
Statutes.
Do you need another?
No, keep it enough.
Good stuff, Eric.
Yeah. Things that start out with that little law symbol, like my brain just immediately turns off.
So I guess quite simply, I sent a package in. I know it was included in your information for this meeting. I don't know how much we want to go over, but quite simply, I think the little cover letter covered it. The JCDC, in conjunction with the town of Jericho, was looking to do a simple 2-lot subdivision. Because of the zoning regulations, we need less road frontage. I noticed when processing through all this that the information provided in the original layout for Railroad Circle it's a weird piece. It's not your typical linear road laid out 3 rods, 4 rods wide. It had distinct bearing and distances that gave it a weird shape, but I do think that shape was conducive to what they wanted for the railroad station that used to be there. So that's why it's abnormal. Regardless, in conjunction with trying to make something approvable with our zoning regs, it also facilitates the town to get rid of a portion of a road that they have no use of. They're not using it, it doesn't have any benefits. Town can't plow it, and they can't even develop it because, again, push it because it's in a wetland and a wetland buffer. So it just made sense to approach the select board to see if they were conducive to discontinuing a section of unused road that the town does have. They really don't know they have, but they do have. Again, it's pretty straightforward what we're asking. The picture, the map I sent along, if discontinued, the red section land would revert to the property owner, which would be in this case the town of Jericho, because they own that land. And the green would revert back to Richard Workman. This process is typically a statutory.
Joe, I'm just gonna share my screen of that, just so
Sure.
people following along. Since you're commenting on the picture, it just
Yeah.
helps. It's fair.
It is a pretty straightforward, I think, plan too. Oh, it is. Can you rotate?
Can you rotate to the right? Or
Yeah, right twice would be really good.
I thought, that's what I thought.
It's not particularly easy to do that, but, you know. Is that what
Okay.
we're looking at?
So for the first part of this, again, we're looking at discontinuance. Let's just hone in on the red and the green.
Yep,
Okay, those are parts of the road that will be discontinued and revert back to the abutting landowners. Okay, the second part of this is the actual shaded gray area. One of the requirements of this is to have, since it's a town road and we have essence a dead end. Either we look at a hammerhead for snowplow and maintenance, or a cul-de-sac. In this case, because of the wetland and wetland buffer, we cannot meet either of those town standards. Okay, so I think it was last Tuesday, I met with Jacob out there and we discussed the options and what he wanted to see and what he needed. And I think what we're showing here is kind of brings that into conjunction with something that will serve basically 2 residents. You know, it's a small town road that serves 2 houses, or will serve 2 houses. So what we're after is tonight is to grant the waiver from the public works specifications for a very similar design for a snowplow turnaround and maintenance, and also to move forward with the discontinuance of a portion of Railroad Circle.
so you're looking for us to discontinue the road as denoted in red in this map.
Or begin the process of it.
Yep. That's one thing. And then the other thing is allow a variance. Is that the right word?
I think it's a waiver. I don't, yeah,
Waiver.
variances are, yes,
Waiver of the turnaround specs,
public works specifications.
public work specification for turnaround.
And if I say anything different, let me know. Okay.
Is there a reason that we want to keep it as a town road?
From a development standpoint, no. I mean, if you look, I'm more happy to step up, but
Let me just clarify, are you asking like, why wouldn't we just say yes?
No,
Well-
I'm asking why would we keep any of the road?
Stop at the beginning, yeah.
Yeah, I can answer that.
Which is maybe a different.
In order to make the Habitat for Humanity piece work,
Oh,
they really needed a short driveway.
No.
And so in order for them to have a short driveway, if we continue that road to that end,
Okay,
then they only take over there. If we were to give it up, which does kind of make sense, and if you weren't thinking about that piece,
Yeah.
it does kind of make sense.
okay.
But this way, it still works for Habitat, it's still.
and we still have road frontage.
And
Zoning
we still
regs
have
still
road
have to
frontage.
have it.
Okay.
The road frontage requirement, and this is between
Oh, right.
minimum 15, maximum 75.
So the town would basically plow to that.
sort of hammerhead.
Circle William Falcon.
Correct.
Okay.
The whiter gray section would be where they plow to.
Remind me what the green is?
So the green section is land, that area would revert to Richard Workman.
Thank you.
Okay,
Neighboring lot.
yes.
Do you know how much of the road that you're actually asking to discontinue?
Yes, I do. So right now on the town highway map, you have 264 feet. For the town highway map, and we are reducing it down to. Hold on. I thought I put it on that plan. I think it's 70 feet. We're losing roughly 70 feet of road.
That goes through a swamp.
It's in wetland. It ends in the wetland. And actually, the road, the town highway ends just about the blue line, which is the wetland itself.
And Jacob, you guys would plow this without any problem. You guys turn around.
Yeah, that's why when Joe and I discussed it, doing more of a cul-de-sac type deal. Would be easier with doing a hammerhead, having the driveways at the angle they were. It would have been more difficult and lack of, snow, places for snow to go. So by doing this, it creates a more general, point for all the snow to kind of go to.
Now, keep in mind what we can look at too. If Jacob, if you wanted to push the snow all the way to the end, the town could keep a section of an easement for snow storage. Then too, we could define that on the final plan too. So picture pushing it straight up. Depositing snow in the buffer isn't an issue. But you just can't have the road in. So we can keep an easement if that's something you think is necessary.
My understanding is that the select board is the body that would give up the road. But in terms of the variance around the regs.
Waiver.
The waiver around the regs for what's the hammerhead and all that, would that not go to Chris Flynn or to the DRB?
So anything regarding the road, has to come from the select board. Typically, and it's happened in the past, Eric, you were here, like we did the work out for road for Bugby. We had a right of way that was only 57.5 feet wide because of surveying, it's supposed to be 60. A waiver was granted from the public works standards because of.
Okay, that makes sense, because we're in charge of the roads, we own the road, so we have to. Yeah.
And in our conversation with Chris Flynn and the DRB at Sketch, they really stressed that we should have this taken care of before we go to the select board or go to the DRB for final.
But what's the process for giving up the road?
So overall, it's a public warning. And then you're supposed to have a site visit and warn that. And after all that's done, you make your decision. And then from your decision, I think it's 60 days. You need to file a decision and some kind of description of what you did in the land records. So it's at least I think the warning I have in there, you have to warn the meeting 10 days in advance, is what I remember reading. So 10 days before you have the on-site meeting, it has to be publicly warned, like you do for the select board hearing. Meet, next meeting, say yes or no whether you're going to do it, and then 60 days from there, file this in land records and also finalize it with another select board meeting.
We gotta go there in person. We gotta warn people at 10 days in advance, then we gotta go hang out in a swamp.
It's actually, it's deceiving wetland area.
Very different.
Wetland, excuse me. I'm less excited about this. I mean, it's still the right thing to do, but.
So we just have Paula lay out that schedule of, I've jumped past.
Are we need a motion tonight? Are we voting on something tonight?
I don't know. I think tonight we can certainly vote on the waiver. I don't know if we could probably make a motion to start the process of giving up the road, but it sounds like we can't do much beyond that. Is that right?
I've done this for a couple of municipalities, Essex, South Burlington, Colchester, and so on, and that's typically the process. Yes.
I'd make a motion to begin the process of giving up the identified portion of Railroad Circle. And asking Paula to begin the process of executing warnings and meetings.
And grant the waiver.
We'll do that as a separate.
Okay.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
I'd make a motion to grant a waiver for the end of Railroad Circle related to the public specs hammerhead requirement, the hammerhead requirements within the public specs.
Public road specs.
Public road specs. I will second that.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Can't thank you all enough.
Thanks, Joe. I can't wait to go hang out in a wetland with you. Be fun.
See you in 30 days, sir.
All 5 of us standing around with you.
Look at the road. Hey.
Yeah, that's probably true. Now you guys messed up my document.
Oh.
Okay, thank you all for,
Oh, maybe I'm not one short. No one's one.
We can share.
I think we go. I think I.
Oh, yeah.
Five.
No.
So where are the two numbers that we need?
Mhm.
okay, so we're moving back, for those following along on TV. We're moving back to the review and consider approval of the errors and omissions from the listers. Agenda item.
So it's
Yeah, so
981.
sorry, guys. I
That's okay.
pulled that other sheet from, I have multiple databases that we work with, so that got pulled from the
Oh,
whole.
okay.
the
This
records
is the
that we're
new,
now
this is the
firing.
revised, names are correct.
So
That's
this,
not
this change is still 47.
No,
I just had the
yes,
wrong number
right.
from the wrong database.
So it's going
My
from
bad.
981,000 to 934,000, which is a difference of 47,000.
Yes, so that didn't change. It was just my bad pulling from the wrong database. to the wrong number.
No, I'm pronouncing it.
So you're looking on the second page, so this one,
This was that.
Yeah,
Now, turn the
981.
page, now turn the page.
yeah,
I'm looking at the exact same spot for the corrected version.
Yeah. new,
981 to 934.
These are the exact same document, an old version and a new.
Okay.
version.
Yes, I guess the wrong
Okay.
paper. My
Yep, no problem.
So I would make a motion to accept the errors and omission certificate with the corrected Kittle family numbers. Then from the listers.
I will second that.
All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Now we can move on
So
to
now,
tax
Brian,
rate.
Amy, do you have to do math now?
Nope,
Okay, great.
they had the right numbers, just
Okay.
wrong.
Okay,
doesn't matter. It
Yeah,
doesn't matter.
yeah, no, it doesn't matter.
okay, so now, we have in front of us to review and consider approval of the tax rate for Brian Stevens.
And, how do we solve? Do we want to do it up here?
Why is it?
What's wrong?
Have this tomorrow morning,
Yep, I'll have it, they're gonna sign it
because I
right now.
want to be here early to go and over this and do this and get things there, so.
Yeah, I'll be here at 7:30. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Amy, how do you get rid of this stupid thing?
Which one?
This.
Oh, so this, what you can do, it just, if you go to more, you should be able to hide video
So
pane.
we're here for the annual
Thank
meeting
you.
to set the tax rates, which is based upon what the budget,
Mm.
approved budget, turned out to be from earlier efforts. And then, again, it comes in a couple different phases. The first, question that we have here is, there are certain exempted properties within the town. But those properties still must pay the education tax. So this quick worksheet calculates the amount of education tax for those exempted properties. Then we add that to the amount of revenue to be raised through the taxes. And again, we can see at the top, the total amount of exempted education tax is $21,000. And that number appears again below. Oh, Paula, if you could scroll down just a tad. That's the 21,000 that appears on almost the local agreement rate line. Now, let's go back to the fire department, for example. We now have all the other components. And this is a question of all of the budgets have been approved by the fire department, and these are the independent agencies, if you will, within the town. And that's the fire department, the Deborah Rawson Library. So those dollars amounts and the old red mill, those dollar amounts have been set. And what we need to do is use the grand list to determine what the rate of tax is. And that's what appears on the far right-hand side for those three items. The last item is the Conservation Reserve Fund. Now that rate has not changed, and we'll get to that a little bit later. But these are the four components which, if you remember your tax bills, these are the four items that appear separately from the amount of town tax, general fund taxes to be raised. So again, we're going to do the subtotal here, 0.0705 for all those other components. Then we add in the amount of tax revenue to be raised at 3,952,973. That's the amount that was the budgeted amount to be raised, divided by the grand list gives us a rate. And again, we're adding in the rate to be raised for the local agreement rate. And all of those three different components now add up to this number 0.0374532. So that number times the general, the grand list will give us the total amount of tax revenues to be raised for the municipality. So
in other words, you take that 0.37453 and you multiply it by that grand list reconciliation number, which is 14893. And exclude it.
Sorry, Eric, down the actual grand list.
Oh, 13.
With all the exemptions in it now is the 13,073,467. That's
the grand list.
Yeah.
13,073, which is really multiplied by 100 to get the actual value.
To get the
Just
value.
talking about this first.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I, one clarifying question, see the the fourth line up from the bottom where it says total town of Jericho, that number right there,
Yeah.
395, etc.
The first one.
That right there
Yeah.
is being, am I correct that that is being divided by the next number? Nope, over to the right,
To
get the 0.3.
That's right.
There's a
Where does the
Okay.
3952973?
Yep. That's the amount of, that was approved during the budget last March. So that's the budgeted dollar amount to be raised for the year 2026 through 27.
Okay. So budget divided by grand list.
Gives you the rate. Yeah. Paula, well, let me mention without going forward just yet. If you had last year's worksheet here, you'd notice a tremendous difference. And the reason is the grand list. Because of the reappraisal, the rate substantially changes. And in fact, the grand list increased from 7,115,000 to the 13,073 based on the new appraisal. That's an 84% increase. And Paul, if you could flip, I think we've got the next sheet here. And if we go deeper, okay, terrific. So for comparison purposes, and I think this is important for us to understand, that when we set the rate last year, we set it on a much different grand list. And when all the appraisals came in, and you can see they just came in, we have now that 13,073 figure. Again, 83.74% change. And for me, it's always helpful to put those two rates in line. So last year's Jericho Town General Fund, again, that's the dollar amount that we essentially raised for the budget. Last year, the rate was 0.507. This year, technically, the rate is 0.302. But if the grand list went up by 84%, you can then adjust this new rate to compare it with last year. And that's what the column is for recalculated comparable rate. And so the new rate, based on last year's grand list, if you will, is 0.55. And that's an increase of 9.54%. And you can go up and down the line.
And you have last year's rate on there.
I do. It's the first column, Peter, right? Just
Oh,
below.
0.507.
Yep.
Oh, I got you. Okay, 26, yeah.
So when you compare the adjusted rate for this year, the increase was 9.54%. Let me just quickly look at a couple items. The local agreement's an odd one in that first of all, the local agreement dollar amount is fairly small, as we saw, it's $21,000 this year to be raised. It changed from last year because utilities were put in an exempt category in prior years. It was moved to a taxable dollar amount this year. And that, though it's maybe litigated later on through the state, not through Jericho. But that's why it reduced. The total reduction was about $7,000. It's not a large amount in any event. But you can look at Underhill Jericho Fire Department, about a 6% increase. Deborah Rawson, we'll call it 4.5%. The Conservation Committee, I touched on this a little bit earlier. For the Conservation Committee, it was determined that we would use a rate and not a dollar amount to be raised through taxation. Now, what happens? Last year it was $35,000 that we raised through taxes using the old rate. But apparently the article to approve the Conservation Committee's method of fundraising, it was set at a rate. So the rate didn't change, but the dollar amount did because the grand list went up by 84%. Now, this is something that you can think about yourselves and consider, but in effect, the Conservation Committee dollar amounts that were raised went up by 84% because the rate didn't change. Just an interesting note. So overall, the town taxes, including all of the other agencies, went up by 9%. Now, the next piece, scroll up just a tad, Paula. Yep. So homestead, non-homestead. What we're saying here is the education tax.
Can I ask one question, Brian? Yeah. I'm looking at the far right hand column, like the kind of theoretical increase. I gotta get at the actual increase. Yeah. Those percentages are all positive. So Jericho General Fund is 9.54.
Those are increases, yeah.
And then total town is 9.08.
Yeah. And the reason is,
Should
Peter,
that be higher with the Conservation Committee?
Oh, no.
Is the Conservation just such a small piece that it
keep
doesn't
in,
matter?
that's it.
Okay.
If you put the relative dollars
Yeah.
amount that are raised,
Yeah.
yeah, the blend comes out to be the 9.8.
Thank you.
The next two are interesting in the fact that as we've sort of understood through communications from the state, the education tax went up by, on average here for homestead, 19.18%, and for non-homestead, 12%. Those rates are set by the state. So scroll down, sorry, one more time. Well, actually, there's so many numbers here, and we took 10 minutes to walk it through, but I thought it might help you if I gave you each an envelope and
It's my tax bill, you guys. Pull your own tax bill out.
Tax bill?
This is.
Can I have Peter's?
I'll trade houses, sure.
Oh, look at you. Oh, you annotated on it. Look at you.
So to me, it sort of brings it home in an okay way. I mean, there's nothing that is a surprise to any of you here. Because let's think a moment. If the grand list went up 84%, that's not an alarming thing. It's what happens on the far right-hand column of what we were looking at. Oh, let's scroll up just a tad.
Scroll up.
Yeah.
Go back up here.
Here's. So I hope this makes some sense to everybody in the fact that we brought it home to to each of the folks here. And this is something that everyone will get in their mailbox soon.
I
Again,
hope that the select board realizes like the amount of angst that's gonna come at this whole town body over this.
And Amy.
All of
I'm
us.
confused. I don't understand what I'm looking at here. This is my.
That's your tax bill.
Help us through what we're supposed to.
Oh, this is me. Oh, I thought it was just that.
No.
Gotcha.
it's taking that, what's on the board here, and reflecting it upon your own individual assessments.
So another way to look at it, 20, I got 20.
More than doubled.
Tax, your
Well,
tax
you're-
bill.
Well, my real, yeah, my.
Well,
Yeah,
well,
but the tax-
hold on.
Yeah, like, tell me, explain to me that.
Yeah, so what you wanna look at, so that is, but this is what
Your total
Brian's
tax bill?
done.
I see.
Is he showing, you can see down
So
here,
you-
here's what
On
has
that-
his
on
taxes.
landscape scheme.
Okay, now I understand. I was looking at that and that, I'm like,
Yes,
that,
yes.
that actually gives me anxiety. I wish that was on my top.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now I understand.
This is the new assessment.
I don't mean
That's
to
the new
frighten
assessment.
anyone.
Understood.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
17.
You
Yeah,
know,
I didn't.
I would say something like this. The frightening part about this, it's not. It's not necessarily.
Hang on. Let's let Brian talk.
The interesting part is that the real issue is not necessarily the 9% increase. It's the education tax increase that's going to impact people more. And
It's
that's, I
completely
mean,
outside of our control.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
as we as a board be very cautious with the budget and we do our best to come up with a fiscally responsible budget, we could have spent 2 extra million and it wouldn't have changed. It wouldn't have changed anything compared to what we're paying.
So the extra money that we're each paying is going mostly to the education fund?
yeah.
Yes.
I think you could almost, it's 2/3 of it. Just by
You can look
looking
at it line by line, Chris,
Yeah.
right? So he gives you the,
And Chris, just by looking at the total town, trying to make this as simple as possible for the total town increase 9.08, the educational increase at 19, that says 1/3 of the increase is for municipal, the other 2/3 is for education.
Right. So you didn't double, right? Well.
but it also depends on what happens with your assessment. If you went down, then your education didn't go up as much. If you went up, down
Exactly.
compared to the 86%, 83%, what was it, 80?
Lori had said it was around 83.
Well, what did your grand list go up?
85.5 was the median.
85.5, okay.
So if you went up more than 85.5, your taxes went up more proportionally than what we're showing here.
Yeah,
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
So around, if you assume that the whole state is going through this in a similar way that Jericho is,
But they're not.
they're not.
We have to reappraise this year.
so not everybody's reappraised this year.
Just something.
We did and Underhill did.
Yeah.
So it feels like
Essex did
everybody.
too. Essex did it.
I mean, it's the state's effort to try to get everybody
No, it makes sense. I mean, that.
marked to
Yeah,
a
yeah.
market value, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, that's what the reappraisal does for a lot of people.
The school budget is based on assuming these reappraisals.
Yes, exactly. It's based on the same grand list, yeah.
The question that I was gonna ask is, I know it's really hard to tell in a reassessment year, but usually every year we have a number by how much the grand list grew just due to like new property. Is that possible to figure out? Like if you were to look at last
So you
year's,
divide this year by 80, no, or not.
I think what we're looking at is what's the value of the new properties added to
Right.
the grand list?
yeah,
And typically that's about, maybe 1.5% to 2%.
yeah.
But you can't, I don't think you can do it.
Lori,
You don't have.
do you have an idea of what the grand list?
I don't, we could look at permit lists.
Yeah.
I could, I could put something together probably, but.
You change the denominator or everything, so you kind of can't.
Yeah, and I'm
Looking at-
thinking,
At a permit list to see how many new builds. I don't recall that there were, on JD's development, which was 8 properties, I believe.
I think the educated guess might be 1.5, again,
Yeah,
staying
yes.
the 2%.
Very small percentage.
So, sorry, Paula, scroll
Yep.
down if you could. And the reason we're here is to actually ask you folks to set the rate.
The municipal rate, right? We don't have any say over the educational one.
You-
If you want to
In
pass
a
those out right
very,
now,
in a very obtuse potential way, but no. So what we're looking to do is to set the rates, based on how we calculated them to come up with the dollar amount that needs to be raised for the budget and for those exempted properties.
Do you want the 0.30236?
Yeah, if you go to the, that's the number we're looking for, Peter, and we're rounding it to down below, it's the 0.3024.
3024.
And those other,
yeah.
and we're asking you to set the rates on those items to be raised for which the rate does not currently exist, meaning that's why the Conservation Committee Fund is not here. Because that rate has already been set.
So then, should the Old Red Mill be one of those two then mentioned here?
You're right, it should be, because that will be,
Individual rate.
it's a variable rate on each year, and
Mhm.
you're right, we should have included that on there. So that's 0.00142.
Are these rates in effect for 1 year or do they?
1 year.
1 year. Can we do this every year?
Yes.
It's right here.
Oh.
Right here on the Old Red Mill. Yep.
So can I make a motion?
Let's do it.
Okay, I make a motion to set the general fund tax rate of 0.3024, the fire department tax rate at 0.0464, the Old Red Mill tax rate at 0.0014, the conservation reserve fund at 0.005, and the Deborah Rossman Memorial Library rate at 0.0177.
I'll second.
Local agreement rate too. You have to say the local.
Where is that?
Down at the bottom, 0.0016.
Okay.
In the,
And a
yeah,
local agreement number, 0.0016.
I'll second the motion.
Wait, hold on one second. So also in that recommendation, if you see it on the bottom of your
Yeah.
piece of paper, it says.
continue the,
3% late
Mhm.
filed homestead declaration penalty.
Right.
Is that
Yeah.
average for the state? Like,
The penalty?
yeah,
Yeah, that is what.
Great.
Yeah.
everyone uses it.
You want that as part of the motion?
Yes, and,
Yeah.
and lastly, can he continue the 3% late filed homestead declaration penalty?
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor say aye.
Thanks for giving me my tax bill early.
I'm gonna state again, though, my own personal feeling that I think this reassessment, I know that the process went well for the listers and stuff. I think just due to the timing and due to the state law that I still don't quite understand, I think it's gonna be a huge problem for Jericho. I think we will probably have people move out of
You wanna
town.
talk about that now? I'm not saying, not cutting you
I'm
off,
just
but
making a comment because we're setting the tax rate and
well, the reason I'm asking is because I think we need to get ahead of this going out and be, like we were talking, you and I were talking today about, we need to make an explanation of here's
yeah, I
here's
wanna
how you're
understand all of it.
when
but-
you pick this up and look at it,
Can-
here's how you should, here's what you can look at, here's where you can influence these numbers, here's your places for input.
I've spoken with the school district, not Mansfield, and then
Yeah.
USD. Because obviously that's where,
The primary driver.
and. You know, they'll be affected as well. People are gonna be calling them as well, I would assume. And I think Underhill's bills have already gone out and they have similar situations going on. So they have received calls and concerns. We talked and they are going to draft something. To hopefully put out and also give to us to help with our situation, to kind of explain as well.
Who are you talking to about that? 'Cause I'm thinking about putting something together from the select board and like,
Okay.
and I want, in that, will your efforts like, oh, by the way,
Okay.
78% is your school tax bill and being able to say like, and here's the message they're sending you to kind of incorporate that into our message. I know who you're talking to about. that?
Nicole in the finance office there.
Okay.
Yeah,
Can
yeah.
we send that like with the tax bill? Is that like all in one envelope? I like that you gave this to me all in one envelope and told me everything. I don't know if that's possible though.
Right.
Not a bad idea.
That would be a
The-
good idea.
Well, the
That's
one.
Yeah, it might be tricky though.
The only hard part with that is, well, number one, getting it all together by next week, because next week is when I need to get bills done, so that. Trying to get them done as quickly as possible so that people have as much time beforehand as
Mhm.
possible.
Mhm.
The printer, we don't mail and stuff them ourselves. I print them and then bring them to the printer's office. I've already tried to get them to put just a little strip of paper in there, talking about the postal service and how postmarks, we accept postmarks, but there's a situation where the mail doesn't get postmarked here anymore. It gets postmarked a day or two later somewhere else. Trying to explain to people, don't do the postmark thing,
Mm.
It's a situation, just having this one little thing, so I can definitely try and ask them about it, but.
It might be a second mailer.
It might be worth your time, yours specifically. But
If people actually look at it, yeah.
it may reduce a lot of calls.
I just don't know that the
Well-
school is gonna get anything out
Right.
that quickly.
You might not have anything by next week, but
Right.
it might be worth waiting, holding tax bills for 2 weeks to get it right. I mean, everyone's gonna call. Everyone's gonna call.
I know, I just worry, there's also a deadline,
Right.
people have to receive it within 30 days of the due date, which would be
Which is
August 15th, which,
I know.
some people say, oh, it's as long as you mail it by the 15th. Well, imagine if we mailed it on the 15th.
Yeah, no, I'm not looking to like,
Now, an extra $1,500 I gotta come up with all of a
Yes,
sudden. I have.
I'm just
trying to-
imagining, what
I
I'm
know.
mostly imagining is your phone.
I know,
I
I'm taking
think,
the sabbatical, what?
I think the
Pretty much.
select board needs to fast track an explanation on a piece of paper. And we need to, I think, ask you to do whatever the mailer is asking you to do, to say, we need to put an extra piece of paper. I think that whatever work that takes, you're gonna get literally 500 phone calls, literally, a lot of phone calls, and if there's any way to head some of those off through an explanation.
Otherwise, it's really hard to understand.
And I don't know, I mean, the school is the one that needs to explain it.
Yeah,
Like
that's the
they're,
biggest piece of it.
that's,
That's the big.
But if they're gonna,
But if they want them, we're gonna pay them the money, so
Yeah.
better freaking explain it to us.
Right.
If
But
they
in
have
our-
to come
but in our
from us for an
explanation-
hour.
But if
a
our
day,
explanation says, not this bluntly, but like 70% of this is the school.
Yeah.
If you wanna talk to the select board about the municipal piece, it's called the select board or the office or whatever, but here's how the municipal piece works. And the school piece, I'm not gonna say this, but like, don't bother calling Amy because she can't help you with that.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think they will be happy to provide as much explanation as they
Yes.
can, because
yes,
we're collecting the money
Yes.
and then we hand it to them, right? So I'm not
Yep.
suggesting that we,
no,
but like,
they definitely.
we're
want-
doing this part for them.
Yeah.
They will, I
Yeah.
have no
They
doubt they will
want
be
to.
very
Yeah.
forthcoming with
Yeah.
being patient and explaining it to us in a way that we can all understand it.
Yes, they
And
definitely.
like
will.
you said, Eric, I think hopefully they would want to come up with a good explanation because it's them as well.
Right, we told everybody that this reassessment isn't going to drastically change your taxes. It's only gonna change your value, the rate will come down and blah, 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 and it drastically changed our taxes. So we miscommunicated to the voters.
It changed their taxes by 9%. The school, as you mentioned, Peter, changed it by the other
Right.
18%.
Right.
But
But that's what they heard. They heard this reassessment won't drastically change my taxes unless I happen to change a lot more compared to the average.
It's important.
And people that didn't change a lot more compared to the average, people that were dead on average, their tax bills are going up only because of the reassessment.
I don't think that's true.
It is 100% true because of the way the state passed this, like,
I know what you're saying, but I think you can't say the entire thing, the entire reappraisal method because of the new state law. That's not accurate.
I think it also has. to
well,
do
yeah, I
with
guess I don't know if it's all of it, but the reappraisal caused it.
The education.
If I'm-
spending, the way,
if I'm-
the way that they share it.
Right.
I'm gonna look at my bill right now. And if I'm, this is fine. My general fund went up $20. My school fund is where my homestead school fund is the entirety of my increase in my bill. It is not anything that happened with my reappraisal that changed anything. I mean,
If we
Okay.
had, if
Right,
we
and
had,
people are gonna hear that the education rate went up 4%.
Yes, that is a
And then
big
people
problem.
in Jericho are
Yeah.
gonna go, it went up 4%, mine went up 20%.
but mine,
Yes.
exactly.
because
And
we
that's
have,
because of that
You need to
reappraisal.
say that.
no.
No.
It's not because of the reappraisal.
It's not.
It's because we are being very blunt, it's because we're a rich community and we have not a lot of kids in our school.
Mhm.
And the kids in our schools are generally high functioning, don't have a lot of needs.
Right,
Yes.
right, for
That-
sure, some of it is that.
No, but
Some of
Eric,
it is
you're,
the
you're,
reappraisal.
you're here. You're thinking, oh, it's reappraisal and a little bit of this stuff the other way.
It is,
We are
like,
rich.
I think it's the other way
Eric,
around.
I'm telling you for sure, we're rich, we have not a lot of kids, our kids are very high functioning.
I
And
think
reappraisal messes
there is
up.
a small, there is a piece of it having to do with the reappraisal.
Yes,
That the
yep.
state set our rate at 100%. And it still gets adjusted by the CLA, but the fact that we're at 100% versus maybe our value should, if the state had not passed the law that they just passed saying that in a reappraisal year, you're reset to 100%. We may have been at 115 or 120 and then get that adjusted by the CLA, and that would be even better for us. But instead, it's set at 100% period, because that makes it easier.
Regardless of what you're actually.
So
We wouldn't have
that,
been
there
fair,
is,
but we also
there
wouldn't
is a
want-
piece of it there, but obviously, definitely the school sharing and the spending, that is.
That's the big
majority.
piece.
Yes.
What you're thinking about the reappraisal
Yes.
is a small piece, like mine went up 18%, and it's not because of reappraisal, it's probably like 17% because of how our school system is. And how we're a giving town, we have to give money
Right,
out.
no, I get that, right. We're
A
gonna
little
be,
bit-
we were always gonna be more than the 4. Than the 4 average of the state, or whatever the state average was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But,
a lot more.
but
We're
when he
always
came
gonna
in,
get
we were at,
John,
John
yeah.
said we were at 20. And that was without the state buy down. So the entire
Wow.
state buy down didn't buy us anything. And it bought everybody else. And I really think, and again, it's so complex that that I don't understand it completely yet. But I think the fact that we did that reappraisal, just based on the timing of when we did it and when this law came out, that buy down. I mean, if the buy down hadn't happened, it would be what, 40%? It would be like 40%. So anyway, we obviously need to get very,
Just by
very
this
clear.
discussion here, we can tell it's gonna be a little difficult to put it on a little piece of paper. But it's not that it shouldn't be attempted to be done.
Mhm.
Yeah.
When the school came to us in the fall with their like glossy presentation, I feel like they can reuse some of that to give some of, I don't know. But I agree, a little piece of paper is hard. You need a sheet or two to talk it through. It's difficult.
And it is such a difficult thing. You have to try to figure out how to explain it in a simpler way, because there's
It's
just so.
incredibly complex, and so you have to like really, not dumb it down, but like
No,
really make it simple and you can
Yes.
understand, and it's a super complex
it's
system.
very hard.
Very difficult.
Okay, thank you.
Did we pass the motion?
I think we passed it. Well, I remember
I
you
made,
motioned, I seconded, did we all?
Favor say aye, and then
I think we all said,
I
right?
did my spiel.
Great. We almost
right,
did.
right.
Thank you.
Thank
you. Next on the agenda is review the town meeting reimagined task force report with Gaye and David. Thank you. I think David's on.
David's there. You are.
Hello, am I coming through on voice as well?
Yes.
I just want to tell you, I'm out of power out here in the boonies, so
Oh.
I'm depending on my phone to see you folks tonight.
Coming through loud and clear.
So I'm gonna, Peter, David and I have not connected at all, so I'm gonna dive in, David, since you're, but, I'm gonna count on Paula to be able to see if he's waving his hand. and
Sure, yep.
Wants to jump in, is that making sense?
Yeah, just to make this clear, Gaye and I wrote this together. So so if you're pissed off at us, it's because you can get mad at both of us.
And the whole task force really saw it as well, so it reflects the work of the task force. I did bring a couple of extra copies. I don't know if that's helpful to you of the report. I didn't print out the appendix because that was long. And I'm not sure whether you want me to just listen to your questions or you want me to dive in and give you a overview of what we're recommending. What we're saying is there are two big issues that we need to resolve, and then there are kind of four categories of recommendations that we have. And I could talk that through with you in a general way, or do you want to dive in and just answer questions, ask questions?
Whatever works for you guys.
I would recommend you give the 10,000 foot view of this, highlighting the two big questions and the four areas, and then
we laid out, what the original charge was to the town and what we were aiming to do, the goals that we kind of distilled from the process and how we felt like we addressed those. And then kind of gave an overview of what we've been doing, what the town has essentially gone through two of this reimagined process. And with the top, this, I guess I'll just remind you, there are, as we have done this for the last 2 years, there have been 3 steps to the process. The third step being the Australian ballot vote, and we keep throughout our work and in our conversation with people who ask questions, we're constantly reminding people that it's the Australian ballot vote that's the determinative vote. The others are leading up to that. And we've had a fall meeting that's been on a Saturday morning, that's been vision oriented, and then we had you all agreed to put forward the draft budget 10 days I think it was 10 days in advance, was posted online. All printed out copies to have in hard copy at the meeting. And people came together in what feels like the part of it, this is the part of the process that feels the most like the old fashioned in-person town meeting, but it is not town meeting. It's a select board meeting, moderated. And people are participating remotely. And we're providing input from citizens as to what people recommend if they feel like if they're recommending any changes.
And Gaye, if I could just jump in for a second. This was the absolute center of the charge to the committee, which was to recast the town meeting so that it would be more inclusive for the whole community.
And I think, we gave you the attendance and the, how many people are in the room, how many people are there online, how many people watch it through Mount Mansfield Community TV, either live streamed or through a recording. And I must say, I think the group, we feel pretty good that we've achieved numbers that for even just adding up who's participating in the room and remotely, we've gotten to kind of what the old-fashioned town meeting averaged out to be. And then there's also the folks participating through the community TV. So as we think about going forward, the two big questions that we have are the kickoff meeting, the fall meeting, and how do we accommodate public questions? We've really focused on the budget so far, and we haven't had some big public questions come forward during these 2 years, but there are questions about how would that happen if there were to be public questions. And there are folks who regret not having the opportunity for those general conversations about the state of, whether it's the state of Jericho, a town tree, or the wider world. And
I'll put diplomatic.
so, and I would say that there's a part of this report on page 4 in the middle, where I outlined there are 2 routes by which a public question can be put forward to the voters. Number 1, the select board can put a question before the public. And number 2, citizens can initiate a public question. The 2 bullets under that number 2 are incorrect. They're not exactly right. I'm in the ballpark, but Peter's done some research that and now understands that better. So I don't think that affects the conversation tonight, but I just want to know we've given you a report where those 2 bullets are not exactly right and we need to fix them. So our recommendation when it comes to the kickoff, well, let me keep going and before I get back to that. On the other areas, the other 4 areas that we highlighted, the first one is the communicating between the select board and the task force. And this is, I could sort of see it unfold and I understand how it happened, but you're going through a process that's been where you've lost a couple weeks in the amount of time you have to put together a budget to present to the town. And it hits at the end, the whole process is coming to a head at the end of the year when there's end of year holidays and vacations. And it was just hard to connect in that time. And it led to a lot of confusion. We didn't stop and spend enough time on the wording of the warning of the meeting. The warning of that meeting that we have in January is not the same as the warning that appears for the voting. And we kind of didn't spend enough time on that. And then also the wording of the motions that are put forward at that January meeting need to be worded in a way that reflects the fact that it's not town meeting, that we are not there to change the budget. We are there to recommend that you all change your draft budget that you present to the voters and, that we vote on town meeting day. And then the last piece of that is we'd like to talk about or revisit the limitations or the rules that were put in place, partly because there was confusion and partly because I think that we have common goals, but I think that we could find a better way to meet those goals that are not risking compromising this the voice that people have in the process. So communicating between the select board and the task force is one. I think we felt really good about, like, the big problem the first year was voting, especially online voting, and the mismatch in the pace between how the participation in the meeting, the pacing of that works online is quite different than how it works in person. And we really worked on that over this past year, and that seemed to go much better. We felt we had really good feedback from that in the surveys. We felt it ourselves, and we think there are continuing, things to think about in terms of how we set the room up. It ends up being a really narrow and long space, so the people in the back really can't see very well. And somehow we need to either provide them some visuals that's closer, or figure out how to reconfigure the room. There are technology options that we can fix. And then there's just the perpetual desire to encourage, invite, whatever, reduce barriers to having more people participating, even though we have, I think, achieved something to be lauded. I think we want to keep working on it. And then our last thing is, what is the role of the TMRI task force, and how does this, what's the longevity? I think you have a group of people that for the most part are in again, if you're willing to put up with it, that we're all in again. I don't know how much in the future that will continue, and should it be a task force forever? Should there be some other structure? I think it's worth thinking about that kind of question as we think about make some of these choices. So that's the broad brush. And in a way, the first big question kind of raises that question of the role of the task force back up, because our recommendation is we're not thinking that fall meeting has been working the way we wanted it to, that we were hoping it would be kind of a vision brainstorming, and that it would help people see the connection between what they brought up there and what ends up in the budget. And that's a big leap, because the meeting ends up with a lot, lots of ideas come forward. And yet you're all trying to keep the tax rate, within X percent. And it's hard to have big idea questions, jammed into a budget process. So our suggestion is that if we think of the fall as a time when the budget gets going, how can we create, maybe it's not a meeting, maybe it's an open house. How do we invite people in so they understand what the process is and how and give them a heads up as to what how they can step in and be involved. And we are, I would say many members of the task force are willing to help with creating that kind of open house, but it isn't feeling as if it belongs in the realm of the task force itself to accomplish the goal that we were charged with. So you want me to stop there and talk about that, or should I talk about the other big one, the public questions?
I can finish it out and then.
Okay, I'll do the public question ones. I will, the public question, this is one where
I'm gonna recommend I think the public questions is complex enough that let's sort of have a conversation and tie up the input on the fall meeting, and we can discuss that and decide what to do or not do, and then be done with that, and then do the public questions. I think makes sense. That's what we're doing.
That's fine, yeah. So basically you're asking us to kind of think about what a more open house style might look in October as opposed to that first meeting that we've been doing, whatever it is, late September or whatever.
right. And
I think if I may, it's also important to understand that we are saying that the select board should take the lead on the fall meeting, and that the task force is there to be helpful, but that it is time for you to take over that responsibility in our perception.
It's taking over, not necessarily exactly what we're not saying, hey, you do it now.
Explicitly not.
Yeah, we're actually saying we don't think that worked. We think there could be a process rather than in this sort of brainstorming, envisioning kind of meeting. It's more help people understand the process and invite them in. And that feels like a role for the select board, because you lead the budget process, as opposed to an enabling process around this draft, what's presented to the voters, which did feel more appropriate to us.
When you talk about an open house, I'm trying to vision what that would look like. We're not talking about tabling, we're talking about.
We haven't designed it. We wanted to run the whole concept by you. Again, I think I know at least 4 of us have said, we'd be happy to be part of thinking about what that might look like. It's just that the purpose of it isn't so much to highlight issues and sort of workshop them. It's more to say, here's how you would develop a public question. Here's how, if you wanted your favorite, I know you were talking about culverts, but every time you see culvert, you should always think, well, at least it's not a speed bump. So
I just like giving Jacob a hard time.
if you wanted, to calm the traffic, or if you wanted to designate a town bird, or how would you do it? And help people, understand that the process.
So it's more instructive, this is.
Yeah,
this is how you could
and and we also felt like it doesn't have to happen before the whole part. It doesn't have to, I think we felt a pressure that the envisioning needed to happen before the budgeting started. And which means like early September, when everybody's, trying to reorient themselves and let go of summer. And this could happen maybe in October. As a process of saying, we're well underway with the budget, and this is the general time frame, and if you have a question, here's who to talk to, and this is how you do it. It's not, all I'm saying is like, we haven't designed it.
Right, that's what I was gonna say, because what Gaye's talking about feels a little bit different than what I was envisioning, because I was in the meetings with the TMRI committee, where I was envisioning it more as every subset of town is represented there. So there's someone there from the Deborah Rossman Memorial Library. There's either Jacob or someone from the road crew is there. Someone from the town office is there. At least one person from each committee in town is there. Everybody who serves the town, all the different things the town does are all represented there. And it's a chance to go around, talk to people what's going on. We in the notes talked about like having some kind of food to make it sort of celebratory and to kind of bring people in. And I was, as Gaye was talking, was thinking, oh, if each table had like a sticker and kids could go around and collect stickers from each of the places they visited to, and then you can go and talk to Jacob. Jacob, how much is your budget anyways? I mean, the budget can be part of that conversation, but it's more of coming together around all the things that happen in town. And maybe there is a budget angle to it, and people are ready to talk about their budget a little bit. So that's what I was envisioning.
Yeah, that's a much better description of it. You're correct.
And I think one of the tables would be like, hey, how do I affect the budget? How do I add something to the budget? How do I petition the select board to do something? How do I,
right?
So sort of
And
that could be a piece.
And somebody also could come to Jacob and say, I'm really concerned about road salt. Can you help me understand what you're doing about road salt? Can you help me? So that maybe we could get some of that hunger to talk about road salt that always pops up whenever we talk about the budget, and instead have what people are really saying is we're concerned about road salt, but it turns into a budget amendment every time. And so is there a forum so you could have that conversation as a conversation before it gets fit into a box that makes it.
Where it doesn't really fit and it just becomes a number and it doesn't really serve the desire of the people who are doing it.
I was picturing more how you described it, Peter, as a way for people to understand how the town works and how they might play a role or get a question.
Yeah,
or get their own complaint, like their own bugaboo.
Where to take it.
Oh, now I can find the Conservation Commission. They'll be at this meeting. I can ask them.
Right. Yeah.
And somebody, when those kinds of meetings, sometimes somebody says, oh, maybe I should join. There are a lot of open positions in meetings.
And I think that the way that I'm framing it, which I think Gaye's saying is similar,
that's how we
feels
describe
the
it.
committee and much more to me as that's a select board thing. That's sort of unrelated to the work of this committee, which was to implement those two amendments around Australian ballot and in-person meetings. So it feels like we should be taking that. And maybe we create a committee and 4/5 of the committee is from the TMRI committee because they said they'd be willing to work on it, but it's no longer part of so I think at some point we need to sunset the TMRI committee once we sort of do enough iterations, like, okay, we have a system now, we'll still be tweaking it and stuff, but they've done their work of implementing the 2024 amendments. Now staff or some other group needs to sort of continue on with the more mundane, like, oh, we got to warn the meeting, we got to get the budget out, we got to talk to Angeliki about the technology Because their job was not to do all that, it was to figure out how to implement those amendments.
I think that could happen. It feels wonderfully optimistic. I mean, you guys are busy, like still, I mean, it was only year 3, and so maybe.
Yeah, I'm not
maybe
saying,
pretty soon we get to that.
I'm not saying now.
No, we're not saying that now, but we should be thinking about that now,
Yes.
as opposed to
Yeah.
putting more things on our plate.
And if I also may chime in here, this committee, this task force is a remarkable group of people, and they're really committed to making this happen. So the group will be there for for the near future to provide the functions that you're used to. It's just a question of how the select board and the town want to see those functions carried out in the long term.
In terms of communication, I support that, better communication. Are you saying you were on the task force or?
I'm at all the task force meetings.
Okay, so I mean, it seems like having a select board liaison.
Yeah.
We
That's
do,
helpful.
and we just switched Peter's new,
Okay,
and has been at our meetings, and it's been great. It's been really helpful.
I think
and is that the improvement or we need even more improvement?
We need even more of it. That is, if we could talk about public questions, that is the top of our second tier of challenges. But if we want to keep going in terms of how we lay this out.
I think that one piece of that communication was the TMRI committee last year heading into town meeting felt like they had a plan for what was gonna happen. And then the select board made some decisions here without communicating that well to them, and they were like, wait, what? And
Yeah.
so the warning wasn't what they expected, like the number of the warning weren't right, and we just didn't coordinate. It was like we threw a party together and we didn't talk until the
Well,
morning.
to be fair, Paula and I were talking, and I just wasn't, I just didn't think it hard enough through. Paula and I forget, but it was at least the two of us. But it was rushed and it was and we didn't think through that language well enough. And it was those restrictions.
Communicating early on before it's a last minute scramble to throw a
Right.
party.
Right. It was the wording of the warning and the articles. And it was also the decisions around, what are the restrictions?
The limit of 36,000 or
Right.
whatever it was. Yeah.
Right, and all the way through, even members of the task force continue to be confused about what the rules were.
Yeah.
Some people felt we couldn't talk about something that was more than 35. I know you said that wasn't the case, but people still heard it, and so it just was a lesson in, we need to figure this out.
Everybody's lined up and communicate clearly
Yeah.
early.
If I could just take it up a level for a minute, the most important thing that lies behind all this is the maintaining in the minds of the citizens a sense that they have a role to play, that there's some element of direct democracy left, so that the citizens have a voice that the select board will hear and take seriously in their development of what they're doing on behalf of the citizens.
Yeah, I have two comments on that since we're on that subject, I'll lay them out here. I do think last year's went really, really well. And I think, we learned so much from the year before. I think the whole thing went well. But I do have a couple just comments on that thinking. I guess as I think back on that meeting, I was really discouraged that we allowed the library vote. We as a select board had talked about that so many times and at so many meetings. And it was a really, really hard thing. I don't even think it was 100% vote. And we decided that belonged on a ballot. And to me, that is like the spirit of what we came up with in this, let's move to Australian ballot. That was too big of a decision. I personally felt that was too big of a decision for the select board to make. We could have said no, we could have said yes, or we could have said, I don't want to talk about, I guess, or be kicking it down the road, whatever. And so we chose over many meetings to move it to Australian ballot. So everybody in town would have would have the ability to do that. And so yeah, I get there was a lot of pressure in the room and it kind of felt like the right thing, but at the same time, if that had passed, we would have been in a spot to like undo our decision that we made as a board. And also, if we had gone with the room, because that's kind of been the tradition so far, is we respect the room, as Dave said, like to allow that direct democracy. We would have allowed less than 1% of the population decide that the only way to vote on that issue is to up or down the entire budget. And I think I personally should have just said, no, I'm sorry, we're not doing it. And I think I think that particular circumstance did the exact opposite of what we did by moving to Australian ballot. And then on I know the budget increase, and it's too bad that I didn't word it better, and somehow I conveyed that you can't talk about a line item that's more than 36,000. I don't know how I worded it in a way that landed that way, but that's really unfortunate. But but for the same reason, I still feel strongly that we kind of need something like that, because you're allowing less than 1% of the people of the town to decide you're all in or all out on this entire budget because of this one thing. And I also felt like, and I don't have data on this, I felt like 36,000 was plenty. Like I can't think of, certainly none of the town meetings I went to, did we ever add one item that added more than that much. So it really felt completely reasonable, and also, answered some of the comments we'd heard from people who weren't interested in being part of that meeting and just wanted to vote on it. And like, you added this much in, so now my only option is to vote down the budget. So that's where that came from. And I think mostly what you're saying is, let's just communicate it much better, word it better so people get it and all that. But I just wanted to make those 2 points.
I also think that it helps us be on your side.
Right.
When Dave moderating, or, it just, or helps us anticipate the issues.
Right.
The other thing is, the one thing I hear what you're saying. The one thing that I don't follow is how it all translates into an up or down vote on the whole budget because of that line item. Because I think we were clear after the first time that when there is a large amendment, that the select board could choose to isolate that as an article.
True.
So it would stand alone. And that's the part I don't personally, and again, we can talk about it later.
Right. So you're saying someone, hey, I want this $50,000 thing. We go, okay, you all voted for it, and we'll put it on the budget as its own thing. Yeah. I guess we could probably talk through.
That's what we were expecting.
We had a range for that. I think we had like 3.
It was over $36,000 it had.
But there were
36,000. We were like, no, we're like,
I thought we went about, yeah.
Yeah, between 20 and 36.
And I said you were brilliant for that idea. And after the fact, I feel like that was a mistake. I remember really being in my car and talking to that woman. I can't think of the town meeting.
Susan Clark.
Yeah, Susan Clark, and explaining to her, like, our concern was someone was gonna come in and whack the budget out of control. And she said, the citizens of your town are the legislative branch. And you guys are the executive branch, and the executive branch needs to trust the legislative branch. And if you don't, then things are out of whack in your town. And that really hit home for me. And if you go back 5 years, someone could walk in a town meeting and rally the troops and cut $1 million from the budget, and the select board would have had to do it.
Right.
So I think that, because I speak for myself, I was anxious about saying, we'll do whatever you tell us to do. And I think that is really important, that we basically say, next time I'll be advocating in this conversation, that next time we say to the people, some version of do what you're going to do to the budget. And
we'll make your recommendation. they can't do it.
I understand that.
until-
What I'm saying is that I really wanna emphasize that although it's not legally, but that the people are making decisions about the budget and the select board is saying, we're gonna listen to what you're saying. And that if you add or take out $50,000 in that meeting, I will, as a citizen and select board member, advocate for, this is a huge problem because of X, Y, and Z, but that if it gets voted in, then that's what goes in the Australian ballot. That's my personal feeling.
But do you feel that having it as a separate article?
I don't know, and so that, and that,
That's where I just don't, that's, to me, when it stands as its own separate article, I think that allows people not to feel like they have to get that they're gonna sacrifice the whole budget over this one
Right.
item, that they can vote
Yeah,
no.
I could live with, hey, if it's more than this, I hear your point on the legislative, whatever you call them, but like, I keep coming back to, even though we've had great attendance, it's not 1% of the town.
but for 100 years, it's been not 1% of the town.
But
But it was binding, and so now people are like, I'm just gonna wait till the thing comes out, we vote, right? Like, so it's a little different, and so I think it does.
I think if we say above, and we don't need to do this now, we don't need to figure it out now, but I think if we do say above X dollars, it's gonna go to the ballot, then people will say, well, then I'm not gonna bother to show up, because anything that matters, I'll get to vote on an Australian ballot, so I'm not gonna bother to show up.
Can we? Because don't we, to get onto the Australian ballot? No, we can approve, we can say and do it. I'm right. I'm going through. Yep.
Yeah, those are just my comments, doesn't mean you guys have to agree with them, but the library one, I still feel like that was already decided, it was already on the ballot, and I think. The fact that
that was a cluster.
They voted to take that vote away from the voters, and
well, in fact, I think
that was,
what was
I think that's wrong.
reassuring, I hear your point about should we even have been in that debate?
Right.
I think that's a good question. I think the communication could have helped David and us generally be more prepared for that and understand. Or if we had known it was gonna come up, to be on the same page.
If Lori had said to you ahead of time, here's what I'm gonna be doing.
Yeah, but I found it, if I had been a select board member, what I heard from people was, we hear what the select board wants, they did not get a strong vote. The people stood by the select board's recommendation.
Sure, yeah, they did.
And I would have found that reassuring, sitting in your seat.
And then the ballot passed by like 9-1 or something, right? Like, so it was it turned out fine. I just think we've got to make sure that those things that are already decided, especially if they're already on there, like, we're not pulling it off. We're not pulling something off.
Yeah,
I don't think that meeting has the
something
power to remove something that's already been decided is going on the ballot.
So a couple of thoughts. First of all, I'm just echo what Gaye's saying about my role. I think perhaps I should have known that was going on the ballot already by some other source, but in the future, we should keep that in mind. And if something is going on the ballot, then make sure the moderator knows it. Because it really was up to me whether that discussion developed the way it did. I chose a decision to allow that to proceed. And I've got, with discretion, I'm happy to say, I'm sorry, but this has been decided on by the select board to move to Australian ballot. That is another way for the citizens to have participation, and that's the way we're going to go with it. So I won't recognize this discussion. It's and that done with discretion and thoughtfulness, I think will create that balance between, your concerns about overwhelming amounts of money and making sure the citizens feel like they've got input.
Right.
But I'm trying to understand a point. So if someone raises something in TMRI that they want a $50,000 thing added to the budget, so that's one avenue that then the select board can say, we'll put it on the ballot. Right?
Well, they don't, no, they have to win, they have to get a vote in the room to recommend that the select board adjust the
They
budget
get
by
the
that.
majority, then we put it on the ballot. What happens if you can't make the meeting as a citizen and you wanna add a $50,000 thing?
And you can't.
Yeah, you can do it if you're
I mean, you
on,
could come to any select board meeting up to that point.
Yeah.
right?
Or you
Just
could,
select
But
board.
if you're
you,
just,
you get however many signatures and get it on.
you get the signature.
Yeah, well, that's just a petition, which is a whole other thing.
Yeah. I'm just trying to, I think, are we in the spirit of accessibility honoring folks who couldn't make TMI?
well, they can make it either hybrid or in person.
Okay, but they have to.
They
be
can,
there
they
during
could
that
make
time
the
period.
amendment
Yeah,
from their living room
People have.
yeah,
using the process.
yeah. But you have to be
But they're limited
available
to that time
during
slot.
that time frame.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess I know you're feeling that that first meeting didn't work as well as you'd hoped, and maybe you're right. I sure hope that whatever we come up with as far as like an open house encourages those types of things to come before us sooner. Like, it's
Exactly.
not, it's really hard and stressful and sitting like, oh my God, okay, all right, so we're gonna throw a 30 grand and we've done, like, if we know about it, then whatever. And that's, again, I don't mean to harp on the library thing, it's just an example, but there will be more like this, right? Like, we'd already done that really hard thinking on that and already kind of like sort of punted it to the voters, like, this is above our pay grade, we want the voters to answer that, so like, I would love to encourage those types of things to not be the first time we're hearing about them.
And that's I think that piece is part of, I think that should be part of the open house
Right,
pitch and communication
exactly.
around that. Part of the problem, and was a problem with the first meeting the last 2 years, is that few people are thinking about the budget in September or October.
Right.
It's not even on their radar yet, like,
Right.
so it needs to be wound up.
But we could get people there. with
Stickers and food,
education and-
stickers and food.
Booze.
Not
Booze.
You got Harvest
Afternoon.
Market right around then too. We're about to approve that, so.
We
Did know about the budget, that, we didn't, that the library didn't come up for the first time that night. It was
in October.
Yeah, that was, the traffic calming was out of the blue, or the salt amendment was out of the blue, this was, I saw the library is different.
Yes.
And
I agree.
in that it was it was not simple, but it was a procedural,
Issue.
issue.
As far as the open house, this is what we do. We just put it on the brand new town administrator that hasn't started yet, and we just say, okay.
Oh, by the way, we just
Phase
every
one,
year.
design this open house and it better
Get some
be.
food trucks here, get some whatever.
Yeah, you got a month and a half.
We have the planning commission did an open house like this before, as we were working on the town plan.
That was really good.
That was very effective. That
Yeah.
would be a model that would really work for this, because we had different stations based on different sections of the plan.
What you're interested in.
And the town meeting reimagined used that process, as kind of a model.
Start.
Because SJ had been involved and some others had been involved in that. We used that as a model for this fall meeting. So yeah, I think that can be a good format. I just think the nature of it is not to solicit ideas and in that kind of a small groups reporting out, but rather allow for more milling around and learning.
Learning and understanding.
Yeah.
Rather than proposing.
But not learning through slideshows.
No,
Right, through discussions.
Conversations and.
I think there's a
Right.
fine line where if people feel like they can bring an idea and have a discussion, they get more engaged. Yes. So it's not just feeding, it's also taking some in.
Yeah, I'd love to see it like what Brian just did for us, right? Like, here's your tax bill. Here's how we build this budget. Here's what we can affect at this meeting. We can affect this line and then the fire department line and then, right? And then like, how do we build it? Well, whoever starts to send requests into the town administrator, and then.
Jennifer often has a meeting in September
Right.
and they set a budget and that budget then gets handed to us and that's where this line comes from.
Right, and then, yeah, like you said, here's how you can be involved.
And if somebody, had a particular thing they wanted to talk about, they could have a table and see. Get other people involved.
Yeah, it's a
There
bit
is,
interesting.
when we, go ahead, David.
I just think it's interesting to think about the two kickoff meetings. The first one was fairly rich on education. And, the substantial first part of the meeting, there was just a lot of education going on the part of the, not only the TMRI group, but other members of the town. And then we went on to getting citizen input. The more recent meeting, there was a substantial reduction in the amount of education because of some input we'd had. And I guess going forward, I want to make sure we don't completely forget that both of those functions seem to be valuable, that maybe there should be a big idea table at the open house or something like that. So we don't lose that capacity to bring those ideas forward early in the budget cycle.
One thing that we learned late in the fall was that there was a town party or something, a block party, or I forget now exactly. But we were like, wow, missed opportunity. We could have done this on the same day, and there might be some
It's happening again.
fun event that could be not, don't have to happen at the same time, but on the same day or whatever. There could be other ways of drawing attention to the time.
Jessica just sent out the email about it on Front Porch Forum about the town party in September. Or something.
Again, we're about to vote on Harvest Fest, which is that same weekend, that same.
Oh, that is that weekend.
Okay.
The one thing I'd really like to not leave before, sorry for the Raceway Road folks who have to sit through this, but I do want to get your thoughts about the second of our top issues, because this is a place where how do we accommodate the public questions? And we've talked through 4 different ideas. There may be other ideas. One is to get efficient, a hard adjective to use on at a meeting where we get to talk about the budget, but to learn and be keep the meeting moving forward, so that perhaps there would be just time for discussing public questions. Now, if the public question is something like, should this tree be the town tree, or should the community center be waived? It's, whatever those property tax, that's one kind of thing. If it's about a bigger picture of the big wide world, that can be a hard thing to accommodate late in the night.
Can you just clarify, are you talking about questions that end up on the ballot, or questions that the people just want to talk about?
Anything's going to be on the ballot. Nothing's going to get voted on at that meeting that has a
She's talking about a ballot.
we have moved as a
Ballot.
town
Okay.
to that anything we want to pass, whether it's a budget or a public question, is going to be decided by the voters
Right,
on a
okay.
ballot.
She's talking about them talking about getting those questions to the ballot at that meeting.
Yeah. Is there a process by which it could be amended on the way? Or
And that's kind of the wrinkle. Is the
Right.
amendment on the way.
Right. I use an example. I don't remember what year it was, 5 or 6 years ago, there was one of those property tax waiver reduction, having to do with the historical society. And there was an issue at the time about transparency with the historical society. And at the meeting, someone moved to amend it to a 1 year. And then they would come back, and if they hadn't improved, then we would, if they hadn't resolved whatever the issue was, we could have said, no, you don't get your property tax reduction. But they did. They came back a year later. It seemed like things were fine, and we moved ahead. So
And that was warned, I think that was warned as a 5-year property tax thing. And then we, on the fly, in town meeting, said, no, we're gonna amend it to be a 1 year, and we'll talk again next year.
So I use that as an example of amending something.
So there might be a different process than the petition process. Or is this?
We're not gonna solve this here. What, but I'm just, I'm not looking for how to solve the problem. I just wanna walk through the options for how we might address public questions. One of them is to try to fit it in to this meeting, the budget review meeting. One of them would be, could that budget review meeting happen on a Saturday? And then you have the whole day ahead of you. So you deal with the budget and then you deal with the public question. That's option 2. Option 3.
Sorry, then deal with the questions when, like on Sunday?
No, well, that's option 3.
So like
Oh,
budget-
on Saturday. so
Budget
you-
in the morning,
I-
then lunch break, and then questions in the afternoon.
Yeah, I'm with you, sorry.
And then option 3 would be what you're talking about, 2 different meetings, whether it's Monday morning, Saturday, Sunday, or whether it's Tuesday, Thursday, whatever.
Yep.
And then the 4th is much more involved and wouldn't be even an option for next year. But just to mention it, we could take the first Tuesday in March and have that be the budget review meeting and public question meeting and vote, have the Australian ballot in May. That takes a town charter change and a whole bunch. So I would just want to put that out there as one of the approaches. And the different members of the task force, we didn't come to a resolution. People know differently. I mentioned here, I think one of our concerns is we feel like even though we've been through this twice, it feels like it would be good to do one more year without big changes, because it gets better every year. And I think that would serve us well. And I think there was a general sense of that. Would it be, is it too soon to make a big change? And by improving communications, by, some of these other changes, does it help us move along on that Tuesday or Thursday evening meeting? But we are looking for your guidance about, and it doesn't, I don't know that I'm asking you to make that decision right here and now, but we are looking for your guidance because we feel like we'd like to know what appeals to you. And every time we do this, we end up in this, having to remind ourselves that the final vote on anything happens by Australian ballot. So
I like and dislike things about each of those 4 options.
I had an interesting conversation with some representatives from Plainfield. There are a lot of towns talking about how do we do this and how they're wrestling with the same tension of more people, but preserving direct democracy. And this too was led by it sounded like their accessibility committee and they felt very strongly that you really are creating a barrier for someone by creating a long meeting, that there are people who simply physically couldn't sit through a long meeting. And having been, I went, through the old town reports and looked, and I could see the drop in attendance depending on the time during the meeting that a vote was held. And I could see it, that night, because I was taking attendance at different times during the night. I think that's worth thinking about.
For sure.
But there really is a hunger, from people. We've heard it in anecdotal fashion. I think David's heard it. I've heard it. People wanting that opportunity to talk about the issues that are beyond the budget. So I think it's worth thinking about how we do that.
There's a building of community that happens in that other business part of the meeting as well.
Yeah.
Is missing at the moment.
So what's the best way to move forward on?
I think I personally think that we kind of owe an answer to, really to ourselves, but to the committee of which of those 4 options. I don't think any of us disagree that having the ability to allow the public to talk about those public questions is really important. Why don't you decide? We do.
Well, I was thinking that with Peter and TMRI, that certainly has been enough way more discussion of these options. And is there a recommendation?
We don't have a
We did-
recommendation. These others, we came to a
3 folks
recommendation.
about this, 2 persons, somebody else about
But,
this, somebody else
yeah.
about this.
Yeah,
I've changed my opinion. I've had people write to me who are on the task force and say, I thought I was all in on the old, on the long meeting, and no, I can really see why that isn't right. So now I've changed my mind, and, I changed my mind because of anyway, I've been influenced by what I heard in Plainfield, so I think it's an evolving. The thing we do need to hear is if you feel differently about the fall meeting, like, we gotta get going on that fall meeting pretty quickly. If you want us somehow, if you wanna reconvince us to run it the way we've been doing, that would be hard, right?
We have consensus. I don't want a motion, but do we?
Yeah, I like an open house much more.
Question though, do we have any anecdotal information about whether a weekday evening would be more preferred than a Saturday? Is there any?
No, we don't. The only, what we end up hearing is, well, when we did in Jericho go to Saturday and attendance didn't change. And it wasn't by and large a different crowd. I mean, and so we ended up going back to Tuesdays, as I recall. That was.
It wasn't more or less people, it was like the same generally number of people and generally the same people. That's my recollection.
I think it's also quite a different question now that there is the hybrid option.
True. We didn't try Saturday, to your point, we didn't try Saturday when you could allow remote.
I think Chris is asking about the open house.
Yes.
Timing.
Yes.
Weekend.
Oh, I think we're talking about the
Weekend.
second, you're talking about the first meeting,
Yeah.
or the first
open
event.
house.
Yeah.
If it's an open house, I think Saturday makes
Yeah,
a
I
little
feel
more
like it's a
sense
Saturday.
than, yeah.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, it could apply to the same question would apply to both. I guess, really.
Yeah.
And at the time, for the 2 rounds that we've been working on this, we felt like that fall meeting was more brainstorming and would work better on a Saturday morning with that kind of tabling set up as we're describing, whereas the other is, a moderated, move the meeting along and an agenda, so more appropriate for the weekday scenario.
Could we consider these 4 options at the open house? Would that be
Ooh,
a point of discussion?
we should make the public
The
pick.
legislative body is.
There you go. I like that. I do think we should probably move on. I think you've got consensus about the open house, which is the first thing to consider. And I think from what I gather from the board, we're in general agreement of finding a way to support public question discussion. So I don't think we're any more decisive than you were about the which one to pick.
So that open house is now 2 months away.
Yeah.
Who's planning it? This is what's gonna happen. It's gonna be, we're gonna meet in 2 weeks and be like, well, we got like.
I guess
and
we
be
should let
crap,
someone-
we're gonna, right, but and there were folks in the committee who said they'd be willing to help out with it. But I think it's important that it not be,
Just them.
well, then not be like, oh, the TMR committee will take care of that, but it's our problem. And I can, on behalf of us, whoever, reach out to folks in the committee and say, hey, who's willing to help out with this, but we need to figure it out.
Yeah, agreed.
And when it comes to the deciding, between, it's really 3 options. I mean, option 4 is a bigger deal. That's gonna take a while. But just because of the timing of the town charter change and all of that. But I would keep in mind that, I think it'd be worth thinking through where are there barriers to participating in town meeting, and would we be affecting that by these different choices? As opposed to simply asking people, what do you think? Because it depends who's in the room when you ask, what do you think?
Yeah.
So. Anyway.
Okay. Thank you very much for all your work, both of you, and for your presentation and your thoughtful suggestions and all that.
Thank you.
And just, we're still there for you. We appreciate your being willing to take a role in this, but the committee is an active committee. It's a committed group of people.
Okay, thank you. Next on the agenda is review and consider approval of the Harvest Market by Jamie LaBerge. LaBerge? LaBerge, sorry. I read
All
that.
good. It's happens all the time.
Yep.
It's true. All right, so. Okay. I have 5 items that I sent you. The first 2 are really just telling you. One, there was a proclamation in 2018 about the V-Trans permit that we need, which I sent a copy to you of last year's. That's that I can't remember the number, but it's this permit here. I sent you a blank copy with this year's information, and then I sent you the example from last year with your signatures on it as well. But we need the signature from the select board to say that you approve the no parking signs going up on the west side of Route 15. And that is from the it's every 100 feet, and it's from the Jericho town line with Underhill to 403 Route 15, 403 Route 15 to Jolly's gas station, which is 340. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then we'll also have Green Mountain flagging at that corner of River Road and Jolly store as well on Saturday that day. So we'll question your signature for that. And then also,
why don't we answer that right now with a motion, and then we can put our signatures on it? Can someone make a motion?
Sure. Which bit of it were we signing first? It's just the parking permit. Yeah. I make a motion to approve the Old Fashioned Harvest Market's parking permit for September 26th and 27th of this year.
So Eric's gonna just sign that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Yeah, okay.
Now you can sign.
That's just,
Sorry, go on.
You, does it sign that one?
And then I also emailed an example of I believe it's the memorandum of understanding is the technical term. But the example from last year that just says that you are aware of the event and you're in support of the event. Both of these pieces of paper have to go through the state police for our public assembly application in the fall.
I make a motion to sign the memorandum of understanding for the Old Fashioned Harvest Market for September 26th and 27th.
Eric has to sign.
All those in favor say aye. Where do you sign this one?
Right above.
Last year.
Right above.
I can send you one.
That's the right one, guys.
Yeah, that's not the right.
That one is.
The
That one.
example.
That one's a clean one.
Does it say 20?
Oh, I'm not
26 on it,
sure.
though?
Does it say 26 on that
That one
permit?
probably says July 17th.
16th on the watermark of it, honestly.
What's up here? Yeah, this is a new permit. This is the one that.
That's the new one.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm talking about the memorandum of understanding.
Oh, okay,
Signed,
yes.
I think I just handed that,
Okay.
but I need the one from before that.
Listen to them, guys.
So the V-Trans permit, that was the first
Mhm.
thing that looks like
That's
this.
the one he needs to
And
sign.
then the memorandum of understanding, the one I sent was from 2025, because it's been an example. In the past, we've
Oh.
updated the dates, and I can send you one with corrected dates.
Yep, and then I'll just have him sign it.
Yeah, this is the
Exactly.
one
Then
that
you
is
just
not
send
clear
it.
Yeah,
where I signed.
That's where,
This is Secretary of Transportation, so that's not me.
Sorry, you are, I can give you the example one, it helps. That's
Yeah, it's in the
from last
right
year.
up on that.
Here.
Yeah. Look, here's an example from last year where you signed. See it?
Oh, yeah. So I'm the owner applicant. Okay. Perfect.
Awesome. So yeah, that covers the first 3 things. Then the 4th and the 5th item was the select board approving funding to help pay for both the traffic enforcement, splitting that with the town of Underhill, And then also splitting the cost of the state police coverage with the town of Underhill. I'll give you a quick update. Last year, the state police did end up providing the services with 2 officers for $0. So that was no cost to either town. The previous year, their rate ended up being $2,000.
So what's the rate?
He is quoting and he won't have it back to us, unfortunately. But I can.
Well, I won't approve anything that they're not telling me how to go through.
I would approve last year's rate.
Right.
I would approve last year's, like, sure, yeah, I won't approve it.
Yeah.
It's not, yeah, it's not, no. Bad enough. I'm only one.
What was the rate last year? I'm sorry, $2,000.
Zero last year, 2,000 the year before.
Yeah.
No.
Both times, okay.
Yeah, we paid half of 2,000.
Is there any understanding of why it's 2001 here instead of?
The 0 was they were late about approving who was gonna do it for us, and so because they were late, they said we will cover this. Because I think it was the week before meetings that they were finally say who was going to be doing it, so.
One thing we could do to perhaps appease Amy and but maybe not make him come back is you have the opportunity to approve up to a certain amount. So you could like approve the previous amount or previous amount plus.
I'll approve $0, sure, yeah. Totally.
I believe last year, what was approved was up to 1,500 was what the town would be willing to pay. That's how it was last year. Yes. Yeah.
I'd make a motion to approve up to $1,500 again this year, which is banking on $1,000 increase. Yes. Yes, it was $2,000.
Perfect.
So I make a motion to approve it up to a $1,500 coverage of the police.
Could we lower it lower?
We did the same thing last year. I mean,
But it was only $2,000.
I don't want to even come back. I want to be $300. I can come back now. I can $150.
I'll second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Jamie, do you need the permit, or do you need me to send that to them?
Okay.
And then you'll just send me the updated letter to have Eric sign?
Correct.
And that's the only other thing that you'll need, right? Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you for waiting so long too. Thank
I'm no
you.
longer a rookie, so I'm familiar with this.
Yeah.
I learned last year. I walked 35 miles between
Oh.
Friday and Sunday. So.
Keep the Strava on. We'll have like a Strava track going around. It'll be great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's not bother talking about Raceway.
Yeah,
It's already been taken.
What's the point? Our taxes.
Yeah.
Right. You're like, never mind. I retract.
Raceway, next on the agenda is the discussion of Raceway Road improvements. So I'll just say why I asked to be on this. I was reminded by a resident that was off of Raceway Road, but also, I had asked, we had asked last year or earlier last year to have a report, to have the town engineer just provide us hey, what's your recommendation of what to do? We got some results of that. And so what I was hoping to just have the discussion on, especially with Jacob here, is, how do we slot this in? I don't think what's in front of us is, do we do this right now? I think that the discussion is, where does it fit into our road maintenance priorities? It's easy for us select board people to want to focus on the ones that we hear about, but if we don't hear about them, then I don't really have a ton of visibility into all the work in front of the other two and stuff. So I thought it was just a good discussion to have. We've been hearing about Raceway Road a lot. We all know it. There are certain sections of it that get pretty rough. So I just wanted to have this discussion here about what we do with Tyler's findings and when we do. would you like to make your comment now that you wanted to make about an hour and a half ago, 2 hours ago?
I'm Vince Kemekna, I live on Raceway Road, I've lived there for 30 years. And in the 30 years, I've seen the road building up from the all the gravel that they keep adding to fill in the potholes over the winter season.
Yeah.
And it's created problems with me, my neighbors and their driveways, puddling at the end of the driveway. To the point where in the last 8 years, I've had to have the driveway resurfaced. And but I actually ripped up the asphalt just because I have to keep maintaining the driveway. So that's putting a burden on me as well as some of the other neighbors. And then 2.5 years ago, my wife had gone in for triple bypass surgery down in Boston. She came home and then 2 weeks after Christmas, we had to call the emergency squad because her blood pressure had dropped. They could only go 5 miles an hour down the road. It was so bad.
Wow.
And it was the Wilson ambulance that had to come because the other two, Essex and Richmond, were out on calls already. So they were not happy that they could only go 5 miles an hour. If it was a life or death situation, it would have been pretty hairy. So,
Thank you.
just my comments.
Thank you.
I'm not really sure where to go from here, but
Well, Jim has comment.
oh, Jim?
Again, I'm feeling a little sheepish. Worrying about my dirt road after the property tax discussion, but assuming that we're going to get through that and we'll live another day.
Can you just state your name for
My
the,
name is Jim Bentledge.
thank you.
I've lived in the Foothills neighborhood for 34 years. I'm here to discuss the conditions of Raceway Road. I would like to first thank the members of the Select Board and the Highway Department for the work you do. My comments in no way intend to disparage or minimize the value of your work. Over the years I've lived in the Foothills, I've walked, ran, biked on Raceway in all its glorious seasons. Part of me has a sentimental feeling for our wonderful dirt road. Nothing says it's marathon training season like a spongy dirt road in March and April. But in the winter, it can be unbearable and, in my opinion, dangerous. I recognize that there are those that want Raceway kept as it is. My opinion, and that of many others, is that it is time to fix it. The road bed and drainage improvements outlined by the recent engineering report should be implemented, including paving it. I have some specific comments, if I have time. Other than bridge replacement, Raceway, to my knowledge, has not been improved since all the housing development happened beginning in the 60s. Some of our neighbors who have lived on Raceway longer probably know, but I spoke with a friend who grew up in the Foothills in the 70s and 80s, and she cannot remember any road improvements. In my opinion, Raceway was never built or improved enough to service the volume of cars that now use it. The road crew has always done a great job with Raceway, given what they have to work with. However, with all the other dirt roads in Jericho that they also need to maintain, it is not reasonable to expect them to keep up with it, especially in the winter. A study done by the Jericho Selectboard back in the 1990s or early 2000s concluded that with the volume of traffic on Raceway Road, it would cost less to maintain if it were paved than in its current condition. There have been additional houses and a church built off of Raceway since that study was done. South Hero has paved all of their dirt roads for this very reason. They did a study that showed they could save money by paving. Anyone who drives on Raceway know how impassable it can get, especially in the winters when we get frequent freezing and thawing, and in warmer months during periods of heavy rain. With climate change, this is going to just get worse. Having to drive on the opposite side of the road to avoid potholes is not safe at any time, especially at the blind spot on the hill heading west. My car was hit there by an oncoming car that was driving in the opposite lane to avoid potholes. That was about 15 years ago. Might be more, but same thing. The poor condition
of the road causes accelerated wear and tear on vehicles. While this affects everyone who drives on it, those on a low income and driving older vehicles are disproportionately affected. The cost of the repairs often required to get a car inspected in Vermont was a major issue for our state legislator this past season. When the road becomes impassable, to Vince's point, emergency vehicles are inhibited from being able to quickly and safely attend to emergency situations. An EMT with the Jericho Underhill Fire Department gave witness to this last year at the select board meeting, addressing the impact of the speed bumps that were installed in Jericho Center. Jerry Hill Apartments is a senior living community, and that end of Raceway is the worst. The Foothills neighborhood also has many senior residents, including me. To address speeding, the speed limit should immediately be reduced from its current speed of 25 down to 35. I checked. It's 35. You had me for a minute. 35 miles an hour on a dirt road is just too fast. When a car moves at 35 miles per hour on a dirt road, it kicks up much more dust and rocks than at 25 miles an hour. I'm not saying that there are no speeders on a raceway. However, I suspect that those who perceive that cars are frequently speeding on Raceway are actually experiencing a car driving the speed limit, which is too fast. Traffic calming methods like those employed on Skunk Hollow and on several neighborhoods and streets in Burlington can be employed. Regardless of the decision and timing of any extensive road improvements, a few things should be done immediately. First, the road speed should be reduced to 25 miles an hour. That's easy. It can be done very quickly. Traffic calming techniques can be installed now. Additional and more visible speed signs. By the way, the speed sign coming in on the west side by the community bank is right where you turn. Nobody's looking at that. People are looking at getting off of 15 to safely go onto Raceway. Nobody's looking at that. And then the next speed limit sign, I believe, is just past Raceway Road. So nobody knows coming from
Foothills, you mean?
our Foothills, yes, just past Foothills. So nobody really knows what the speed limit is.
What, just on that point, do we still have some of those portable speed reader things that we could,
Yeah,
I'm
we have-
not suggesting that we do it, it's based on, but I just had that thought, we haven't had them up in a while, like we could.
They're up,
Yeah,
they're
they're
in
up.
Starboard.
Yep, and so
Oh, I don't
what
know.
Yeah.
we started doing
They've
last
been
year
all around.
was the higher traffic gravel roads, the higher traffic
Yeah.
roads, like Raceway, Packard, Nashville Road, we started implementing them.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Raceway has been lacking because we were trying to switch
Yeah,
signs
yeah.
out and stuff. But
But do
that
we have
is
any that are-
on the plan to start adding those in the Willow Lane, Brookside area in
Yeah.
that higher volume of traffic.
Can you
Do you have any that are unused, that are not, that are just sitting there now, or are they all out?
They're usually out.
They're all out, okay.
Yeah.
Can you also move that speed limit sign on the west side of the road by the community bank where you come onto Raceway? It's right at the road. It's right at 15. Move it back 50 yards. So people, by the time they're on the road and they're safely driving on Raceway, they get hit with a speed sign. Nobody's looking at it where it currently is. I think that would be helpful.
We'll definitely take a look at that.
Speed, I don't know if you can install speed tables on a dirt road. I don't know if it's feasible, but why not? Something like that. Or temporary barriers to neck the road down to one lane with appropriate signage might help control speed. That's what they do in Burlington. They
If we had
just
some bollards, we could do that.
the bollards.
We
tried
don't, yeah. We're not talking.
Is that what we did in the center?
No.
No, we
No.
tried to do the narrow raceway a year ago and
The 3 weeks.
residents.
Oh,
went insane.
I remember that. Yeah. I think
I see what you're saying.
there. Finally, the skirt at the end of Jericho Market, at the Jericho Market end of Raceway, the paved skirt section, that should be extended way back like we did off of Nashville last year. What happens when people are braking as they approach 15, on dirt, it basically builds up a berm. Every time they hit the brakes, it's pushing dirt and it makes these huge bumps. And when you're coming off of 15 to go on a raceway, you have to go like 2 miles an hour. That's not a good situation when you're coming off of a major highway. So
Sorry, what are you suggesting to do? Bring
So-
the apron in?
bring the
Extend it
apron,
longer.
yeah, extend the apron back. I don't know how far, how,
I read that note and I was wondering, but isn't that just gonna create the exact same thing, just 100 feet down the road?
no, because they won't be braking. They won't be braking or turning yet. You're braking,
But won't they just come flying down on pavement and then they're like, oh, I gotta split this dirt and I gotta slow down, and then break down and then.
well, if, I don't know, I don't know why you did it on, Nashville, but it seemed to me that was the reason, so that as people approached Brown's Trace, they weren't braking on dirt, they were braking on pavement.
Well, so,
Oh, approaching Brown
Yeah.
Trace.
Yeah,
I'm thinking, although I'm thinking that the braking bumps are happening as you're going off the pavement onto the dirt, you're saying go the other way.
Yeah, as you're going, as
Into
you're
the dirt.
braking, as you're approaching 15, the market's right here.
Gotcha.
And you brake, you're pushing these berms of dirt up and it just makes these huge.
Is that what happened? Is that what makes the bumps?
well, so there's a couple different factors. So part of it is the way it is shaped coming off Route 15. The apron is slightly sloped, so as the water comes off and the road meets it, the water just sits there. So then as people are, typically you're coming to Route 15 and you're trying to make it into traffic. Spin your tires to get out into traffic, that also affects it. So extending it potentially, 20 feet, because that was ultimately why we extended the one on National Road.
So that.
For erosion. Because as it was coming on National Road, as it was coming out of harm's way, which is a small private road right there, it was running down and that's right where it met, and you would always consistently have potholes there. Because the water was coming down and sitting there, and as everyone came on and off, it would just set and beat up the road.
And that seems to have been helpful at Nashville?
Yes.
Okay.
That was, and for just like a price and point, was like $100,000 to do that. That was repaving, because the whole thing was deteriorated. It hadn't been done in 20 years, so.
From Brown Trace back.
Yeah.
All new.
Yeah.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks for your comments. I don't know what to do about this topic, so like, it looks like. Oh, shoot,
I wanted to share this photo I took with how much the road is increased in height over when
Oh my God, yeah.
measure 16 inches down the lane.
By the way, if you drive in and out of Dunkling, Tennessee,
Oh, wow.
Penny
Wow.
Dentistry.
Oh,
I see, yeah, that the road
yeah, I was
from
wondering
the-
where how
yeah.
it was. That's crazy. That's
It is crazy
crazy.
how much dirt is there.
That's a crazy picture. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Jacob?
Your thoughts?
So I can add some points to it just to kind of put some stuff into perspective. Too, and not to discount anything you guys are saying. I don't disagree that apron should be extended. I don't disagree that hill coming down below the dentistry can be a hazard, or coming down from the foothills even. Those two hills seem to be two of the spots that we are continuously grading, along with a section from especially Willow back towards the market.
Yeah.
Ultimately what needed to be done, instead of just adding the gravel and continuously adding the gravel, is removing some berms and kind of as like what we're doing right now to prepare for the pavement. You have to go through and you have to do those things before you just add gravel, because you become what we are now on Raceway Road. You're just gravel sitting up here. Nothing's properly doing what it needs to do.
Wait, where are you doing that right now?
Yeah.
Where?
On Brown's
From Bartlett
Trace
Farm to.
for the paving.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Also known as Jericho Center. You probably heard of
I've
it.
heard
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and from what Tyler's price point, him and I both looked at it, and it needs some base reestablishment. It needs some top, once you cut it down, 6 inches and add a better base in there, and then you re-top coat it, it will hold up better. But before you do any of that, is gonna need drainage, ditching, And the pricing, you know, last spring of last year was 350,000. Now, with everything we have going on also, if that is something, if I were to do it through the highway department, I would recommend doing 150, breaking it in half. And doing 125,000 one year and $125,000 the following year. With that being said, with the amount we are 2 year, I'm telling folks that are calling, requesting culvert cleanouts and stuff like that. There are certain things that we are 2 years out for culvert replacement, because everything right now is in that 20 to 30 year mark where everything needs to be replaced. So that may need to be, if that's something that could be potentially contracted out, which then doubles your price. So if you're looking at almost 800,000 too, I would even say if you were to do that whole road, it would be like $1 million.
Where does he say that? Where does it say? I thought
bottom
the
of the-
380 was
380.
was for paving.
No, that was for,
Required pavement for full
thought it
length would
was-
be roughly 4,500 tons.
That's for the paving, but not for all the prep.
not for all the prep work.
Right, I'm not talking about the prep work. What I was talking about. Am I missing a spot?
The prep work is significant though.
No, I know, but I'm trying to.
I don't think he gave you a dollar
I think
amount.
you were-
All he gave you was the cost of the actual.
And then maybe that was an email that him and I had back and forth, just kind of.
Yeah, okay, that's what I wanted to know, like,
That could have been.
because he's saying drainage, cut down the road, install fabric, new service course, I'd like to understand what your best guess on those. I don't think paving is in a budget discussion right now, but like. That's what I was hoping to get, but I was also thinking that 380 included paving it too, so. You're saying, you think 350 is.
I think, yeah, you're gonna be all of 350.
For the
To do
whole,
what?
for the whole road?
To do what, the whole road?
To rebuild your road.
So that's time, our time, equipment time, that's gravel.
No, but what does it get us? What's the?
350,000 would do the whole 1.4.
Would do what to it?
Re-gravel it, put in a new base and ditching.
Basically scrape off all the extra dirt right now.
Yeah, you would
off
take the road down
what-
6 inches.
At
Oh,
least.
but isn't it like, it's like a foot and a half?
Yeah, you're saying 18 to 24 places, but.
Yeah, well, then that's the thing, is some places it's 6
Depends where
inches,
you are.
some places it's 2 foot, so you
But-
kind of.
But going through and scraping the whole thing down
Yeah.
to whatever the new zero is.
Yeah.
And then gravel and doing whatever you do to make it a new fresh dirt road.
Yeah, and I mean, you may be able to save money cause that with replacing the gravel, the top course of gravel for the last 4 years, it's relatively decent material on top. That you could take it, bring it back to the shop, put a new base in,
Eric and I
and then
can sit
reuse the.
I was gonna say planning for
Yeah.
Rock.
We did a section of National Road several years ago down toward the golf course, which they did this, scraped it down, the road bed, and it's holding up a lot better.
Yeah.
Even though it hasn't been paved.
And
But
so
then-
we would do the
sorry.
350,000 project, and that's instead of paving, or that would prepare it.
That would do all.
Basically, what
that
he's
would-
saying is, you could, you need to improve the drainage.
Yeah.
You wanna cut down the road, install the fabric.
Yeah.
And then he says, and you could pave it. I think the way I read that was, those two things is what Tyler's recommending, and then additionally, you could pave it,
Yeah.
like, either way, this is
still have to
what
do
he's
it.
recommending.
But what you're saying, Jacob, when you're saying do the whole 1.4 for $350,000,
Yeah.
getting down that base road, would that all be work that would then make it pavable? Or would pave like, oh no, I gotta rip it all back out again and start over, and then if you're gonna pave it, you have to undo all the work we just did and pave it
Yeah.
now.
Pretty much, so then it would be, you would have an option to keep it gravel, once you redo the base, once you redo all the culverts across it, everything below the road, then. You resurface it, and then it would be to a point where you could put 3 inches of asphalt on it, or you can keep it gravel.
And
So you wouldn't need to redo that.
Okay.
But if we kept it
No.
gravel, so let's say we do all that, we scrape it down to all the things you just said. And then we say, okay, we're gonna put down 3 inches of gravel, put whatever it is, put gravel down, make it a dirt road. And then Eric wins the lottery and says, you know what, I'm gonna pave Raceway. You have to undo stuff that you did.
Nope, you just put that.
So it's not like wasted
No,
money
no.
if we decided 2 years or 10 years to pave it.
So
It's-
for an example, like Barber Farm. You go down Barber Farm right now, when that was originally put in, or like Skunk Hollow, when they originally put that in, it was clay and mud, and that's why I believe Adam, before he left, redid Skunk Hollow, and I think that was a reclaim. So what they do is they grind up the asphalt and put that back into the base, and that over time makes the base better. So then, once you get to, typically the most amount of pavement you want is no more than the 12 inches of asphalt. That's almost too much, but
Okay.
So reclaim it back.
If we did all this stuff to make the road less of a disaster.
Yeah.
But we said we can't pave it right now.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be wasting money.
No,
The work
no.
we're doing improves the road and makes it and leaves it pavable.
Yeah.
That's what they did the Raceway. There was, or,
Skunk Hollow.
Yeah.
there was a couple of years, they
did
redid the road
chunks.
bed. And then it was a dirt road, a very much improved dirt road that was much more drivable. And then they eventually paved it, and I can't remember the timing.
But you guys with your crew couldn't do that for a couple of years.
I mean, we could, but then that's what we would be doing.
Yeah, right.
Everything, all the smaller, things that maybe a resident has. So a culvert that needs to be cleaned in and out. Like right now, luckily we have the traffic lights that we were able to get. So technically right now with working on Burrows Trace, I have 8 guys. So those lights are flagging. I can have me in a machine, 2 guys in a truck. I can send someone in the grader, and then 2 guys go cleaning up some of these trees that fell, or go into a culvert that's been, maybe we didn't get last year. Now we're finally getting to it this year with the backhoe, and just, it may not be finished to the point that I would like it, but it's passable, it's usable. It gets us to keep making that step forward.
So if these guys all hadn't come in tonight and we just said, hey, Jacob, what are you thinking about Raceway? Like, where, just on your sense of you got all the roads in your head. You're thinking about where does it fall in your head of oh, this is pretty high up, or no, believe me, you should go look at Plains Road down by this is Raceway. You got it sweet right now. There's way worse roads that are bigger priority.
Yeah, it was definitely in my top 5. So I started when I first started kind of making a gravel road plan of using liner, which is fabric, and redoing a base and stuff. And I started kind of figuring out which roads, Nashville, Raceway, all the through roads always come first. Nashville, Raceway, Packard, Plains Road. Those ones are the highest traveled gravel roads we have. So those ones are our priority.
Top priority.
And then, it falls down the list. So I think Raceway was on there. And I think I was at, for half of it, from the market to the foothills, I was right around 150 to 177,000.
Of your work.
Of time, work, gravel,
Yeah.
base.
Highway budget.
Yeah. That potentially, and that's why when we did the budget this year, we added the gravel road upgrades that had originally been in there and then been removed, and because it may be $30,000 right now, but that gives all of us a line item to say, all right, these gravel roads are failing. We need to put in so much extra money to make sure these gravel roads are doing better. That isn't allocated through grant funding, or it's self-reliant on the town to move forward.
It's a line the town has said we have to fund this.
Yeah, right now, one I would like to get to before winter is Fitzsimons Road. From Barber Farm to Mobbs Park. There's no ditching. The water's running down the center of the road most of the time. We're trying to do what we can with greater berms. And I talked to Chris about this a little bit today, but that was my intention last fall. And that when I did that $30,000 in the budget this year with Paula, that road was the first one that came to my mind that needed to be done as soon as we got that money.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think we're closely aligned. I guess I would probably put Raceway a little higher than that one because my sense is probably more traffic on Raceway, but I don't.
Not necessarily.
I don't know that, but-
Yes, there is more traffic on Raceway,
But Raceway's
Moss Park-
in a village, like it's in a, like at least that end is like a village center,
Mhm.
right? So that's where we're putting all our stuff. So anyway, I just, I think it definitely needs to be done. It sounds like you think it needs to be done too. So it's just a matter of
scheduling, and then really what it ultimately comes down to, and money, dollars. Is how much do we want to put into it?
Do you think that you could, map out your schedule for, and maybe you already have this, but for 10 years and say, if I did Raceway now, that's gonna sort of delay these other maintenance projects, I'll need to get to those. That means I could get to Nashville 4 years from now, or whatever. I mean, just to, would that be a useful way of thinking about this?
Well, and that was kind of my plan with the gravel road plan, is kind of set myself up for 5 years.
Yeah.
And, you know, potentially ask you, you know, on, and the residents for, you know, can, you know, to get our gravel roads and to get us to a point where, you know, $150,000 or $70,000 for 8 years to get us to that point. And then whether I can contract it out and we, you know, or we do it in-house. To get us to that point, because we get 20,000, typically we get 20,000-ish for a Better Back Roads grant. And roughly 15 to 20,000 for a grant aid. That only goes so far, and some of them have to be hydraulically or hydrologically connected. So that allows me to only use it in certain places or not. Like this spring when we were, what we kind of did is I've had some places that are on my mind since I started that water couldn't get off. Raceway Bridge was one of them. We went through and removed all the berm underneath the guardrail on the bridge because the water was sitting there and running down. We had a big ice hole all winter long because it was sitting on the bridge, had nowhere to go. We went down and removed all the berm on most of the guardrails on Nashville Road, and we were planning on keep going and just kind of picking some of those off while it's in that lull of the year where you only have so much of the budget, or, you know, it's something where we can keep making that step forward and small steps to maintain and make the roads better.
Are the roads, not just Galway, the roads in general, are they part of the capital planning work you guys are doing, or is that a separate thing?
We have roads in there. Obviously we don't have that in there though, but it is included in our infrastructure section. I think we may need to look and make sure that we have enough line items. This goes back to our conversation, make sure we have all the roads.
I think you've given me the 5-year plan for.
I was gonna say, it's the 5-year plan, it's like 3 main road
Yeah.
structures, and it doesn't get into more detail. If there's anything else than that, we'll add in.
Yeah, because I did it for asphalt and gravel.
Exactly, so yeah, that's what I've got the
Yeah.
asphalt and the gravel, and then like a 26, 27 line item, yeah.
My name is Victor Stone. I live in Alpine Drive, and I typically enter Raceway Road from Brookside Drive. So I readily recognize what you're talking about, and it's like a big hump to just get on the road. What I'm really concerned about at our end is at the entrance just across from the Union Bank, as we've already talked about, that transition from gravel to asphalt leaves big caverns, if you will, right there. And what I'm observing is that people coming off of 15, making a left-hand turn particularly onto the road are watching traffic and then watching the holes on this side, trying to figure out how they're gonna exit and get across the bumps. So I have an appreciation for the long-term view and how we might do it, but you might want to consider, just for the safety factor of it, of trying to do some work there to extend the asphalt further back. Because I think as people come and make that turn, and they're braking and turning, that's adding to the hole. I think if you can get the pavement a little bit further down where people have got their wheels straight, that will take care of a lot of the disturbance in that road. So what I fear is that we'll be staring at some traffic accidents there as people are trying to watch, trying to turn. And then you have to go really slow, so the guy right behind you's gotta go really slow, and, you know, it's not a good
What happens a
situation.
lot of times, people coming over 15 will turn into the oncoming lane because that's less hazardous than the far left lane, the far right lane.
That's the skirt we
Yeah.
were talking about, bring that way back.
So when I
Just
used to
from the
live off that
public's-
road, lanes weren't really in my consideration. You just picked your best path.
You have a whole thing to work with, and
Yeah.
find your,
Yes, we find ourselves dodging potholes and pedestrians the other time.
When I first moved in, there was no bridge and there was very little traffic on that road. That was one of
They're putting in that temporary bridge.
Well, I've lived
Anyway,
out there- I've lived out there for 50 years, and it has changed a lot.
The road or the
The
neighborhood?
road and the neighborhood as well.
Have they improved the road in the 50 years that you've been there?
Well. I wish it were better.
Fair enough.
Diplomat.
Yeah, well, you're not 50 years old.
No.
so that's not thing to worry about. That was my point. I just don't think it's been improved, and all this housing has gone in, and it's time to fix it.
Yeah. I think we need to also. I don't know the best way to direct that from the select board. We tend to not dictate to the TA and the road foreman what would they do, but I lived off that road for a bit. I do think we have a lot more houses and traffic on that road than, I don't have all the studies on all the roads to prove it, but I think. Although he had one, right? What did he say?
well, Eric's looking that up, Jacob,
400.
how dumb is it to just put down, to just buy pavement and just put down 50 feet of pavement right over the dirt?
You gotta have something for it to bind to, so you'd have to cut and dig down and then.
Okay, you can't just throw pavement down.
No, it would be. And then the question is, you have there's two driveways right there that are, like they're saying, they are well below
Yep.
the road, so that you go to those driveways.
Add 4 inches.
You know, do you go to their driveways? Do you go, you know?
You go down in the drive.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing is you extend. Fairly, you do add some. And then just next year, can we add a little bit more? Can we add a little more? And it does open that, and that's just something to keep in mind is, like, I'm not saying, yes, that definitely does to minimize the holes. But we have to plan it, pick a section, how far do we wanna go, how much is it gonna cost? And then put it into the budget, because you can't just take it out of what I already have for paving road upgrades, you have to add that. Because we already have existing infrastructure that is failing.
Yeah.
That we have to maintain, so adding, extra things like that is something that you'd have to add on top of.
If we had your 5-year plan, we could then prioritize with that, and we could communicate to the public that this is our 5-year plan.
Yeah,
So
that's what I
if
think.
you don't see your road at the top, you can see it somewhere.
Yeah, and
We know
and-
that we appreciate that it needs to be done.
Right.
Um,
David Schuler just made a comment that he wanted to speak. So David, you wanna go ahead?
Okay, sure. Yeah, my name is Dave Schuler, and I'm a resident off of Valley's Edge, right off of Raceway. And first of all, I'd like to commend the Town Highway Department for the work. Kind of over the last year, Raceway is better than it's probably been for the last decade. Now, I'm not sure if some of that was because of the intent last year to try to do some of this experimentation on the road with necking down and going to one way and colliding lanes and everything else was being discussed. But whatever the reason was, it certainly has gotten better. But I think the points that have been brought up are very important. That market end, the Jericho market end, people having to slow down and almost literally slam the brakes on sometimes because of how bad the road is. I'm surprised there are not more accidents there. And to compound that, you also have a walkway right there, which when you're trying to pull out from Raceway onto Route 15, the walkway is right in one of your blind spots sometimes, and it's very difficult to see. And I think that should be also evaluated along with the whole question of what happens ultimately with Raceway. But the one item I wanted to ask about that wasn't brought up tonight was with regards to the wastewater plan that is being discussed. Now that's separate. I don't know if that could happen in 1 year, 10 years, or 25 years, to be honest. But I'm wondering what type of impact that may have on a road such as Wasteway, if some of the pipes and that may be routed underneath the road or where they would be routed, just to know what potential changes we do that might, again, the question is do we do work and then it gets ripped up again, or do we need to prioritize certain roads because of that? So I'll turn it back over and thank you for your consideration.
Thanks for your comment. I agree with what Chris was saying. I think the best way to inform the citizens and have a place where you can look and see where your road, and I know that's, you know, we'll have to put caveats in there. This is fluid, this could change as floods and whatever happen, but yeah.
Well, and another point too is as we've been, at least for the last 2 years since I've been here, is when I've been focusing on grants, is what had previously may have been done by previous road foremen is you try to take too many bites of the pie. You try to go to Silly Hill, go to National, go to here. Is like last year we did a grant and aid below White Street Farm on Plains Road. So instead of finding a different road, we got money again this year. I'm trying to extend that a little bit farther to take care of a whole portion of the road instead of all these small sections all over. It makes more sense to do a continuous section than a bunch of small sections, because then this spot's 5 years, this spot's 8 years, this spot's 10 years. And then if you go in to do a section, you might, and it's this spot's at 5, this one's at 8, you might as well start at 5 and to catch everything done.
Okay. Thank you. Next on the agenda is an update on the highway department and consider approval of the following: paving, culverts, and Johnson hardware and rental. That's you again, Jacob.
That's me.
Great.
Thank you. Thank you, Butch.
Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, thank you for your comments. And
Is this just us approving money of over $5,000?
Yes.
Peter's favorite part.
Can you say it real quick then?
Yes, no, absolutely. Well, so one of them is important. It is, so previously when I was in here, you guys approved 182,000 for what we have been accepted for Class 2 paving grant, which is the work that we are doing now on Brown's Trace from Barber Farm to the Jericho Fire Station and from Governor Peck to the bridge 15 below the town garage. So with that being said, with us getting the grant, that gives us a nice pot of money to maintain that we have a match, which is it's like 200,000, so it should be 40,000. That has to come out of our paving road upgrades. So that still leaves me with like 260,000. So I've asked ISDRLN, which is the ones we accepted the bid from, to give me a quote from the Jericho Fire Station to Mansfield Drive, which would meet a paving joint.
Where's that?
Just past Packard, or just past the end of the baseball field.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So, and that would be doing exactly what we're doing. It would be a 2-inch, you'd cut down the road 2 inches and then you put 2 inches back. So the price they gave me for that would be $181,290. To me, doing that makes sense, because not that paving, everything that we're paving this year would take care of 90% of Brown's Trace, the worst spots we have on Brown's Trace. That does entail a little more work from the highway department, where once we get done those sections for the grant, they're intending to come in the middle of August. There's no definitive, we're gonna be here on August 16th or August 20th. It's just, yeah, it's just to do the paving portion.
Yeah.
So that's kind of putting me into like, come on, guys, we gotta get this done, we gotta get this done. So that is I would do it. We will continue doing what we're doing with ditching, shoulder pulling,
And that road, that section of road will be good for, I would say 5 to 8 years, and then you would have to do another shim and overlay to maintain what you've already done. But that takes care of a lot of the worst section on that road. And that's a high travel road. I mean,
Yeah.
like and school's coming, like you have, with those traffic lights out, we've had 20 cars at those traffic lights. Just, in between letting them cycle. So,
Hmm.
Yeah, that's kind of the biggest part of it.
Big takeaway is.
What?
So the 182 you're asking for?
181, 290.
And that's in the budget.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to know.
Yeah.
That's in so that our
Yeah.
budget doesn't go up by that much.
Yeah.
You're just saying, let's allocate it here because this makes sense, is what we're hearing, right?
Yep, and Paul and I had kind of talked about this a little bit. So once that, and we use our match of 40,000, we'll still have $113,000 in that line item.
Okay, so you can do Raceway Road. Just kidding.
With that being said, and I have to double check on this with regarding our match, and maybe Paula knows better. With us doing the work that we're doing with changing culverts, ditching, I believe that qualifies in our match for this. So that's even potentially less money coming out.
Not 40 coming out, but maybe 20 or.
Yeah, so we may, in the spring, something I would recommend if we do have remaining money is I also have to change culverts to continue on Brown's Trace for next year, or Plains Road from Skunk Hollow to Lee River are my two options. So I have $40,000+. I also have culverts that need to be lined on Brown's Trace to continue the paving on that for next year. So that's like 140,000 worth of culverts just below infrastructure that need to be replaced in order to pave that road. So my recommendation, if we are looking for something smaller, maybe the town office with the amount of people that come in and out of here. If we have remaining money, it would make sense to pay the town office parking lot. Because we do have a lot of people coming in and out, and it's
I'm gonna
rough.
look at it. Forget when I go outside.
It's rough, like it doesn't even drain to the drainage inlet we have right here. We're constantly coming in, breaking ice and stuff. So that way there's not a pond sitting in between the extension parking lot. Just a thought.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it's true. Yeah.
Now I can picture that, yeah.
It's just a thought. Not, saying we have to do it. It's just a thought to, if we have extra
if we
money
have money, right.
to use it. I don't know how many of you have driven through Jericho Center since we started the work.
Yeah.
I called Eric the other day and Paula because we were having some issues with the traveling public, whether ignoring us, ignoring our lights, ignoring things. So I thought it may be a good idea to give them a little more warning that we are working through there. So I talked to Eric and I went and got message boards just to set up for the time being. And along with that, I wanted to.
Describe what a message board is to me.
It's the big board that says road work
Or
ahead.
it's like,
Yeah.
it's a stationary sign, like a light up sign.
Yeah, it's like a trailer with a big.
Got it.
Has a message on it.
Yeah.
Got
It's
it.
at the corner of Barber Farm.
Yeah.
I did flex my chair muscle a little bit and said, why don't you go ahead and do that without a meeting? Sorry if I overstepped by doing that.
A little bit, we'll talk about the, okay.
It was still in my price range that I can, so I just wanted to double check. Do my due diligence.
Well, I wonder if we should, that makes me angry. Not the fact people are ignoring you.
I do.
Or if you put something in front porch forum like, hey. that's
Megan
not-
has.
Just so you, okay, Megan has.
Yep,
And
Megan
was
has.
was it-
We've
was
been
it-
informing people.
was it
We've
borderline
talked to the
issue?
sheriff just to have them kind of.
Was it,
I hope that makes the note.
was it was it assertive? It wasn't like, hey.
Well, so one of them, we were setting up our signs, was an example. We were setting up our lights. You have to get into the work zone, you have to hold traffic because you have to swing them out, prop them up. And then as we kind of get up, we communicate with each other. Okay, you can send your cars, I'll hold mine.
Yeah.
Until we get everything ready to go. This older gentleman seemed very urgent on where he needed to be.
And one of the guys was holding his hand up to stop him on Barber Farm Road so we could get the light up. And he threw his hands up and he started going, and I got out in front of the traffic.
Yeah.
And I talked to him and I was stern and said, you know, you are putting all my guys in harm's way by doing this. We're asking you to stop. You need to stop. This is not where you have to be. Isn't this important?
Yeah.
And my point came across. Everyone understood. But I mean, we have stop here on red signs. People are parking in the opposite lane because they think you have to go over here. So these cars can't get through. It's been interesting. And so we have to be on our toes and make sure everyone is, you know, aware in the work zone, and people are, you know, if we have to kind of pop into our work zone, let these cars by, get back out and pay attention to this.
And whatever Megan put on front porch forum is or will be assertive and no, like we mean it, cut the crap.
Yeah. So my other reasoning for getting these message boards is something I wanted to bring up is we have some culverts in Jericho Center that we need to replace. With that being said, with the issues we've been having and how narrow the lanes are, I wanted to ask to rent the lights like you see when people are doing night work, because I was going to request that we do those culverts during this coming week from 10 o'clock at night till 6 o'clock in the morning.
What's the overtime look like for that?
There may be 1 hour per night. So what I was thinking is we'd start at 9 to set up our work zone, give us 30 minutes to an hour to get our work zone set up, get everything ready. And then once our first of the 10 hours start, we're doing what we need to do.
This would be right outside people's houses.
So I've talked to a couple of them and let them know this may be an option. I was going to come to you guys and talk to you about it, and they didn't seem to have an issue. They said, hey, either we're not going to be here or you guys got to do what you got to do. The other reasoning for that is it's cooler at night. It's safer for everybody. There's a lot of truck traffic. So one of them is right by the Jericho Country Store. I really don't want to mess the whole parking, everything up for Valerie at the store. So we have to during the day. So we have to, and we'll have to send cars around the circle. There's going to be 20 cars every time the light goes off or whatever to get people to go that way. I'd rather deal with 4 cars
at 3 in the morning.
And, you know, be able to deal with that then. It seems like a safer, smarter, more effective route for us to go.
How much is the light?
The lights are for 2, and I may for the week, and I may get a third. It would be $701.
And is this money you're asking us for, or just money you're going to spend of your own money?
It would be out of either equipment rentals or this would just be
money we already told you can spend.
Yeah, I still have my whole budget. So it would I would have to maybe change things later, but because this was unintended, unplanned. So the message board in this, it was just kind of as we started getting into the work, sometimes you don't think of things until you start getting into it. Oh, maybe we should do this. Maybe this will work better.
So with overtime and stuff, it's going to cost, making this up, like $1,500 extra to do it at night and not have to deal with cars all day long being furious at you.
Okay.
Doesn't that make sense?
Sounds good.
Yeah.
I don't think we need a motion on any of these.
No,
They're all under your.
Well, only the extra 181,000 for.
Okay. So that's so I make a motion to, it's the paving, right?
Yeah.
I want to say that right.
Continue the paving from
Jericho Fire Station to Mansfield Drive.
Yeah.
I make a motion to continue the paving in an amount of $181,290.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you.
Yes, okay.
I have a question.
Yep.
The paving through the center, how does that relate or not relate to traffic calming?
So with what we found last year, and I know here Eric hates it when I bring up the speed humps or the speed bumps, whatever the heck they were.
Mhm.
What I found when we were installing and removing that road, whatever we decide to do, whatever avenue we decide to go with it, you put anything in there, and in 5 years or 3 years you need to pave it. What you just did, you're wasting your money. So by paving it, it gives you a blank canvas. It's brand new asphalt, brand new. Whatever you put in there
is there for 8-10 years.
But there's nothing you need to do when going 2 inches down now to prep for any speed bumps, anything else.
Unless there's curbing or anything like that, then it's more extensive, then.
Well, we don't, I mean, I guess my point, my thought was, we don't know what the traffic conflict solution would be.
Mhm.
We talked about a lot of different things, and
Yeah.
so are we all just agreeing that it's gonna be okay to go ahead and pave it now, and we'll figure out traffic calming later? Is that?
That's kind of, yeah, I mean, so, and with that, like the speed hump, the current speed hump, because will be removed in the grinding. So then there won't be a speed hump there, and that allows us to do. Whether it is the island or putting a speed hump before the store and by the community center, or adding 3 speed tables throughout. That having brand new pavement allows you to do any of
whatever you
those.
want.
We're still paving that sidewalk there where the hump is right now, though, right? We're gonna repave.
Yeah, well, so once
yeah.
everything's paved, then we'll put the 25s down through, we'll put all the crosswalks, we just haven't done it because it doesn't make sense to paint.
But why would you do that and then pay for it? Yeah,
Yeah.
I just wanna make sure that the crosswalk still exists.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's kinda like, we're gonna, I forget what they're called. They're at the end of the crosswalks, they have for the visually impaired, the
Oh, yeah, the
dots on
bump,
them.
yeah.
Like, there's a couple there, right there, and I'm kind of taking what the select board has said by, this is our town center, we want it to look presentable. So there's a couple that are failing, I'm gonna find out where to get those, we're gonna get those, we're gonna try and bring everything kind of back to life, is what the plan is.
But there's still also a question of striping, right? Where to stripe and how to stripe from the traffic calming perspective.
And so that we also need to check into, because being a class 2 roadway, that we may not be able to not put a yellow line.
One of the things I'm thinking is, do we need to put the bike ped group, get some of this information to us sooner than later?
I mean, yeah, that would be, because I haven't heard anything from Jack, I don't know if you have. So, yeah, I mean, I'm kind of moving forward with what my scheduled plan was for the summer.
Yeah, I understand.
And so,
Yeah, okay.
Also, I'm thinking of Phil Newbeck's emails about the fog, is it fog lines? You know,
So-
wanting more room.
And the road specs in general, or public works, but.
so unfortunately, with L&D and that being a class 2 roadway, you cannot go less than 10 feet for a fog line. The
10 feet
road,
from what?
the 12 feet lane width. Or 10 feet lane width, sorry, 10 feet lane width.
Okay.
The road has to be a minimum of 10 feet.
So you can't expand this
But
section.
it says who? Like
The state of
there's so many towns that do that.
But they're not, because they're not class 2 roadways. Like, if it's a class 2 roadway, like, that's why we got the class 2 paving grant, because it's a class 2 roadway.
So there's nothing we can do about that.
So, no, so like, I couldn't get the class 2 road grant for Willow or Alpine, or it has to qualify, so then, like, Willow and Alpine don't have a yellow one.
And that's a
What would be
24-foot
the
road, right? 24-foot across is what it was?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
typically 10-11 foot lanes with 2-foot shoulders is what a road width is.
Is it an option with the class 2 to not stripe?
I think you have to
Yeah,
stripe.
you have to, so, like, when we did the paving,
What do I know?
they ask where you're
I don't
paving.
know.
So that way they know where they have to stripe, but that would be something we would have to communicate with V-Trans. And as far as I'm aware with codes and standards, you have to put back what is there, and you have to have a yellow line for the class 2.
Does Phil understand that we can't do anything about the fog line? Phil Newbeck?
I'm
Don't
not
have
entirely
any-
sure.
Can we respond? Okay.
I don't think we have, and I think we should then.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I can totally do that.
yeah,
With Phil.
deserves that.
I feel like there were a couple things that she was worried about.
Lee River was, one she was talking
Right.
about.
Right.
And
Which
Is that a class 2 also?
I believe so, don't hold me to it.
Okay.
A class 2 is typically one that goes from state highway to state highway, so that one may not qualify for, but don't hold me to that. I'd have to look back at my stuff I have at my office. No, and I completely
feel like we need
understand.
a full roadmap up in this select board room for these things, right? Like,
true.
what, like seriously, like one of those giant ones that they print upstairs and like, you know, with the class and the dirt and when is the last, like, cause it's just,
There's so much.
No, and like, even from what we've done for ditching, there was no through Jericho Center from the community center down what we did the last 2 days. There was no shoulder there. It was road drop off ditch. That was it. So by being able to ditch it, I've added a shoulder in there. So that way it gives folks that 2 foot shoulder that they're supposed to have. Because like, I think I was telling Chris earlier when we bumped into each other on Fitzsimons, you didn't even know half those had culverts. Like, I took pictures, there was no culvert visible, and then you dig and then, oh, look, yeah, there's culvert there. As we continue, for some more of my allocated funds, I am asking to spend 18,000 of my 25,000 for culverts. This is gonna allow me to continue for the paving on Brown's Trace. There was a failing culvert on Plains Road, where the drainage inlet just right around the area of Buxton. This spring you really saw it was a wicked bump there.
Those ones we drove by there. Is that
Uh,
what you're thinking there? I'm gonna keep going, keep going.
no, it was,
Finish it up, finish it
yeah.
up.
So in between the intersection of Lee River and Buxton, there's a culvert there. There's another one on Lee River that needs to be replaced. So, and then also to continue, those allow me to continue, that money allows me to continue down Brown's Trace, because I have another culvert at the intersection of Pratt Road that needs to be replaced. That one, our right of way through there is 60 feet. So, and that culvert's at 80 feet at 46, 44 a foot. And I have another 80 feet I have to install farther up. So,
All in your budget, all accounted for?
Yep.
I make a motion to allow the Jericho Highway Department to spend $18,000 on culverts.
thank you.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thanks for all your work, Jacob.
What's Johnson Hardware and Rental?
That's the culvert.
Those are just,
Okay.
Because there's also,
oh, I thought that's where you get the signs from.
we got the traffic lights. No, we got the
Message board.
message
Message
board
board.
from, which I got the quote from Sunbelt Rental in Essex, but I may speak with them before I make a decision on getting the lights on Monday. Just check with Johnson too, just to double.
We got that one both. Are
Yeah.
too cheap?
I don't know if Gotham has those lights. I'd have to. So yeah,
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, Jacob.
thank you.
We have the Black Walnut Lane back on.
I was just gonna ask that same question.
You have to have a resolution after you do the offer of dedication. So it's just.
Do it
it's just a
again?
real, no, just, you just,
For anything for Black Walnut?
no. It's just approving this.
but-
It's like another step.
Anything
No,
else?
I mean, Bill did
Mhm.
what was asked,
Mhm.
and he sent pictures that they installed the culvert for the turnaround
Great.
issues that I was concerned with. The only thing we will have to keep an eye on, there are some, I don't know if they're drain risers that are in our right of way that we will have to keep an eye on because residents plowing.
What's a drain riser? Like a,
So it's like if you have water, gas, it
Yeah.
allows it to, as you
Oh.
do stuff, you can rise it, lower it.
Yeah.
But that's gives you from the valve up to
okay,
the surface.
and it's in our right of way.
It's in it right away.
How do we feel about that?
Good. And kind of. I mean, there's, yeah. It's not, those are potential issues.
I mean, that seems like an expensive fix for them. Yes.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Yeah.
it may be something that a policy,
Is it now our problem though?
it's in our right of way, so if
So yes.
it's our issue, yeah, if one of the guys plowing hits it and it's unmarked. Now our issue, now we have to pay to fix it.
Is that true? We don't fix mailboxes. They're in the right of way.
This is different, that's infrastructure.
Hmm.
And if there's orange paint on it, then you can't say that wasn't us, unless there's a policy. We have a mailbox policy, we don't have a policy. for
Riser
that.
policy.
Okay.
Just,
Should we say no? Should we say move it?
You already
said yes.
accepted the
Yeah.
offer of
Have a
dedication.
good night.
Thank you, Jacob.
It's too late. So this is just finishing up to it just is like the last signature page that needs to be signed off by the board, stating that everything is wrapped up and done with Black Walnut Lane.
We have to make a motion, you just sign it.
Make a motion.
I make a motion to approve the resolution of the select board for accepting Black Walnut Lane.
I second that.
All those in favor say aye.
I
Aye. We did it.
proud of
We adopted our
myself.
first road in what?
30
5
years?
Yeah.
All one big stack there. Only one signature needed. It's got a rubber band, but it's, you need to sign around it.
So, may I make a motion to approve the liquor license?
Second motion.
Make a motion to approve the liquor license for Waterfront yogurt and sandwich for August 1st.
Second.
Mansfield Farm.
Second the motion.
All those in favor say aye.
Hey.
All right, next is update from the wastewater task force. You wanna go, Peter, or you want me to go?
Well, that didn't go to the meeting because of this village.
You have some updates since that meeting, but yes, so we finally got, we've been, as a task force, we've been just
Waiting
begging for
numbers.
cost. Right, we've been getting all this tons of scientific data, which I mean, I swear I've learned so much about water science in general, but like, it's all super interesting, but it's like, okay, but how much is it? So we got some really good numbers for us to start thinking about, and I highly recommend looking at the minutes and recording that's available from that, but basically there's what they presented is a couple of different sites all within the Browns River Middle School area, and they propose kind of two proposals, a moderate and a moderate number of gallons per day, which is what translates into houses, and then a kind of a high number. And so the moderate number was around $7.3 million of estimated cost, and the big number was 11 point something.
11.2, I think.
Got it right here, actually. So we literally just saw it, and it was so like it was unfortunately the way we scheduled the meeting. We scheduled it on a day. We had to schedule it on a day when we could get John Ashley from Du Bois and King, but we also had to schedule it at a time when the another committee had a meeting right at 7, so it was unfortunately cut short. So we very excited to have those numbers, and that's kind of our update. So now it's a matter of we as a task force, we asked Du Bois and King, what do you need from us? Because we certainly weren't ready to give them a recommendation of, all right, we want this. And so we asked them, and they're kind of waiting on us, right? That we have to answer some questions before they can continue on. And so we asked them to articulate what those questions are that they're waiting for from us.
And we got an email tonight during this meeting.
Oh, did we?
I mean, from Kate saying, please finish this question. I would like to see blank and blank.
Okay.
These could be phases.
So that's what me and Sue, that a bunch of people started like, oh, okay, well, what if we took A? We took A and C, and we waited. So absolute, like, I think that's exactly what we're thinking.
Without crazy amount of inefficiency.
Without shooting,
Well, and we talked about that too. Like, okay, what if we did this? We did site D, but we mounded it. So like some of the difference between the moderate and the heavy was, do you mound it or do you not mound it? Well, we wouldn't want to go take site C and D, which were different based on whether you put, fill in on top, sand in on top. You'd want to, if you took C or D, you'd want to do it to the full capacity of those two areas. And so anyway, we've had a really good, and then Peter and Susan and I met this afternoon to kind of just play around with some of those ideas. And so I think we're going to have a really good, a good plan that's going to, and those numbers that I gave, I just want to share this part if I can find it. I'll just share it. Oh, no.
What is it?
Oh, that's
Black
the,
Walnut.
that's Black Walnut, the little one's Black Walnut. Yeah.
Okay, so this is the moderate system, which would include sites A, C, D, and E, and would give us about 37,500 gallons per day, which translates into about 153 units.
How,
Could connect to that.
like how many that's usually how you do like bathrooms to unit, does it?
It's unit.
It's unit,
Yeah,
interesting.
it's unit. In this size scale, it's a unit
That's
thing.
interesting.
Yeah, we learned about that too. And then in this enhanced system, it would be 60,500 gallons per day, and 288 dwelling units. And so there's a bunch of science that gets, like, if you get over the 50,000 mark, you have to add filtration, you have to add extra stuff. So the cost goes up quite a bit once you hit 50, but then the gallons per day magically
Required.
For capacity drops. So like
The gallons per
it's-
unit.
gallons per unit that you have to account for goes down when you go over 50,000.
So it costs more, but you get a bigger number of units out of
The
it.
cost per unit
Yeah.
goes down.
Yeah.
Like, what's in the
Yes, yeah, and then there's, you slice some math. Again, that meeting could have been 4 hours and we would have not run out of questions, and
But these are better numbers than I was.
they're much better numbers. They're a little bit easier to chew on, and it gives us just so much to think about that we're like, okay, we've been like at this for a year and like
Right.
getting so much data, and now it's like, okay, here's something tangible, here's what it means. I mean, we had the earlier numbers from the feasibility study that if you
But it
know,
was just-
if you did everything and blah, blah,
Right.
blah, it would be
Just so
23.
broad strokes.
Yeah. So anyway, it's really cool to finally have those numbers.
Now we're all kind of like, well, we did this and did
Right,
this,
we're
and we
like-
picked these two pieces, and then, like, how can we piece these things together to maximize gallons per day for units with
Right.
minimal cost?
Right, how do you get the most gallons per day
Per
for the
dollar.
least cost?
Right.
Per
right.
dollar.
How do you
Gallons
get
per day per
units?
dollar.
Yeah, gallons per unit per dollar, basically.
Yeah.
And you're doing a presentation
Oh, yeah, and
later
you,
in July?
I'm doing a presentation next Monday, not to this level. My presentation is just broad strokes about wastewater. Well, the outreach committee has been talking to all kinds of committee. I presented earlier this week to the Affordable Housing Committee. I presented to the DEI committee. Susan presented to the Mike Ped committee. And I'm presenting and Chris Shaheen, I think, is presenting to the Lions Club. I'm gonna present this next Monday, I think it's Monday, to the Transition Towns group, which is / Food Hub, I think. We're just reaching out to basically any. The conversation has just been basically the task force and the town staff and the select board. And now we're kind of opening the conversation up to basically, this is people who do something for the town, people who are involved in the town beyond this. I live here, I work here, my kids go to school together. Like, I work on a town committee, or I'm on this transition towns, or we talk to the library, talk to the military type park people, just like anybody who sort of is involved in some sort of town work or town service, because the idea being they're the folks who are theoretically at least more invested in the town and need to kind of be on board with this kind of thing and understand it. And if they run into a conversation on the soccer field, be able to talk about what they've heard about it and to spell myths. And then the next kind of layer after that, it's going to be talking to the Riverside residents more and talking to them about what's going on. And then, so that's sort of like circles of not influence, but
Sounds good.
information.
select board updates.
Capital planning still going well, enjoying it, we're chugging along.
Yeah, you did really well on that.
Well, thank you, I
You
appreciate
did
you.
good.
We're
That
all,
was really
we're
good.
all doing good work.
Sorry.
You're all good. No, I am putting together a full email with what we went through, detailed all the way through, and the actions and tasks, and I'll send you all the documents that I created, and We meet again, I guess that's the update I want to say. We meet again on August 6th. But then in September, we have a joint planning commission and select board meeting again, one of our quarterly ones.
What month is that, you said?
September. And we would like to go through the capital budget, like a pre-read for you guys before the October. So that'll take up most of that meeting.
Great.
Yeah, I think that's it. That's it for me.
Yeah, I don't have too many updates. Just, yeah, I mean, Jacob covered the few things that he had called me about. Jericho Center stuff mostly.
The JCDC met and you guys heard about the Railroad Circle thing, and the next piece is to put together the language for an agreement with Habitat in order to transfer the ownership of the property to them. And just an agreement of what we'll get, what they'll get, and how that will all go down. My assumption is that we're gonna kind of talk it through in layman's terms, pretty simple, and then to ask Claudine to write that up and create a contract that will present to Habitat. Maybe they'll show their lawyer back and forth. That's it for JCDC. I think that's it.
I'm sorry, I don't want to jump ahead of line. I have one more thing I forgot about, if it's all right. I do not know if this is possible at all, but I was talking to a friend, and I know it's all of our favorite thing, Palmer's, but I've noticed a lot of people turning left onto Palmer's. You know, I'm going north on 15. I've talked to friends on this, and I've had a lot of people driving onto people's lawns to get around people trying to go left onto Old Pump Road. I don't know if you experience this in a day-to-day, but do you know how?
Driving on people's lawns on
Yeah, like off of 15, like going around people who are stopped trying to turn left onto Old Pump Road or to go into Palmer's. Do you know how on what is that industrial park as you're going into Essex, how they just put up those Lamel, that's it. They put in those posts to stop people from doing that. Is that ever something we could do or think about? Because
It's a state highway and then,
that's probably true.
it's a state highway, so
Well-
the state would have to do it. We
Okay.
couldn't do it.
That's the only other comment I had heard this week, but I'm sorry, back over to you, Chris.
I'm still working on with the architect on design of the entry to the library. I'm going to attend the next library board meeting and talk about that with them. There is some question, which I don't have the answer to, about the shed, the church owned shed that's next to the library. And there's some question about whether that is on town land or not. And somebody on the board of the library suggested that it would be easy to move that shed over to the church property and use that piece of land for accessible parking or something. On the map.
You looked at the map?
Well, I did. It was slightly unclear. It looked to me like that shed is not on town land. But I don't know. I will ask Joe when he did his survey there, if I think we talked about him looking at that, where that border boundary is. I will ask him, Joe Flynn, yeah.
This shed right here?
Where's the bring me up to speed, where's the library?
I think that's the library terrace. Isn't it?
That's
Bronze Trace.
Yeah,
Wait, sorry.
There you go. This.
Oh, yeah. That's not on property.
It doesn't look it to me either, but.
Well, it kind of is. It's kind of everywhere.
So that makes me question how accurate those lines are.
I think they're pretty accurate. And they're very accurate.
So,
yeah, parcel viewer or something.
Yeah. Anyway.
So what's the concern? Who needs the shed?
The church.
The church uses it?
It's the church's shed.
Oh, okay, I thought it was a library shed.
No.
Now I got you. All right.
It'd be nice if it was, because then we could definitely take that space. But
This church over here?
yeah. Yes. Yeah,
And the church has a shed over here.
that's what I'm told.
We'll figure it out.
Anyway,
Small town. thing.
Mhm.
Who owns the shed and whose property is it on?
Who has the key? Who the heck?
I haven't updated.
Oh, yeah.
Then, but it's not an update, it's a question. Where are we with that emergency loan fund thing?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah. My Bob the boss.
Yeah.
The loan program
Do we
thing.
have the outlines of a?
We don't. I'm still working on it. I've kind of mentioned it to Claudine and just working with, I've shouted out to VLCT just to see what their recommendations would be. Haven't heard back yet, so I gotta follow up with them.
Did Bernie copy, or Bernie, Bob, did he copy Paula on that?
Yeah,
Can you just write back and tell him that?
yep.
And it's a very teeny thing for the people who are going to farmer's market next Thursday. Do you want me to put the front porch forum posting? Because I am happy to do that, and I would prefer to have your names on it.
Well, I'm not picky,
Okay,
but
I'll just plan to.
You're
do them
going?
all.
Thought I was going.
yeah, we're doing two
both
shifts. I think I start and you finish. No, you start and I finish, I think.
You're set up, she's taking.
No, I mean, you can be if you want to hang out.
JCDC?
It's over before JD.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you're done before, well, you're done at like 5. Yeah, you only do like 3 to 5 and I do
Yeah,
5
you're
and
doing it
I
at
break
2:30.
it down. See, it's nothing, Peter.
I'll plan on that and I'll.
So you want to put the post out?
Yeah, and I'll ask Susan if she wants to.
Thank you for doing that.
I had 2 questions for you, Paula, and I don't know if it's fine answer because I'm just throwing out there. Old Pump Road traffic study, where are things at? Like,
So CCRPC is putting the logistics together on how they're gonna do this traffic study, because it's not really to do with speeding, so it's kind of a new area for them. And it should be August that they're gonna be having something.
doing it, like doing it this and that?
That's what they said, that they're hoping to be, having
And
it.
CCRPC, they're the ones doing it, or they're like?
Yeah, they're the ones,
test it out and-
nope, they're the ones who are doing it.
Send Kate out there.
I get a little best. Get a little best.
It's just gonna make your note preemptively.
Okay, great. And then, Silly Hill Dam repair, destroy, leave alone, where are things at with that dam?
Well, we got,
Oh, he sent,
I just got a new update from him today from Dan.
yeah,
And that they're planning to conduct a field work study on Thursday, July 23rd. They've contacted all the residents, both the property abutting residents. And I don't know, some of the residents have said they've received different stories, which this was something that I wasn't familiar with, and it came up with, I don't know who brought it up, or if a resident brought it up to Tobias.
in session.
Yeah, and so this is, I guess, has been going on since way back since when Todd was here back in 2010. And
What's been going on?
this dam situation, the dam talk.
Like the discussion about.
Yeah,
destroying it or-
yeah, and they had someone come out, well, I would imagine it's Winooski NRCD, because they did a dam safety report back in 2010. So, I'm not caught up on it, as I'm very busy with other things, but a lot of the residents are really like trying to go to other people to get the information. And so Dan had kind of said, stop, I can't give you all this information. I'm going directly to the town. I'm going to give the town the information, and that's where you can go and get your information.
yeah, and then he had a comment in there saying, they've tried to reach out to you, the town.
Which
the
I
neutral party,
have
and they
not
have been
had.
saying they've never heard back. Please respond back to them. And, so for the public record, if you do have questions about the dam, please direct them to the town and Paula. And if she doesn't know the answer, she can work with our
With Dan, yeah, yep.
Winooski Natural
Resource
Conservation District to get the answer for you, but,
So what's Dan, besides the public piece, what's Dan doing right now?
So right now they're doing the study.
I think he hired, I mean,
Yeah, I think it's somebody else.
So they're doing contracted out for someone to look at the cost.
Right.
cost of
They'll-
replace, repair,
Or nothing.
or nothing.
And they'll come back, they'll come to the board and do this presentation, and it'll be up to the board to pick whatever they want to do.
Is that your question? Yeah. Do you have any updates, Paul?
Mm-mm.
I do have a follow-up question, though. I think we do need to push the bike ped group and or help them.
Come up with our Jericho Center.
Well, yes, that would be the first thing, but I also would like them to weigh in on the road specs where that's relevant in general. I think we just need to, the most urgent thing, I think, is the Jericho Center, but in general, we need to help them somehow.
Like, what would that look like? Get them
Well-
someone else on the board, like,
I don't know what the answer is, but
Yeah.
I think that they're stuck.
Yeah.
And I think we need them.
What are public, since the moment I joined the board, Catherine's been talking about public work specs. What does that mean?
Talks about like all the roads, you know, the
Is it just a road thing, or-
specifications of the roads and specifications of like the lights that we have in town, and there's certain specs that you have to use for the lights, and there's
Lights
certain.
will be at least 8,000 lumens
Yeah,
or what?
yeah.
The minimal viable.
And Tyler is working on it. I had him start this like a year ago. And he does have some information, and he was looking at Richmond to maybe look at Richmond's.
Model.
Yeah, and kind of take what they have. It's, you do whatever you want. It's gonna take a lot of time. If you want the bike and ped people to come in, it's gonna be on Tyler's time, or it's their time. Nothing ever is, yep, I got plenty of time today to do it. It's gonna be a complicated thing if you have more people, because then it's just gonna be
Slow it down.
more time but that's just my opinion.
Well, I also wonder, is Tyler up to speed with the Complete Streets guide from the state? And
I don't know that answer.
information, and my personal opinion that it would be important to have the bike ped group be a part of this, because they know more about road safety from
Mhm.
pedestrians and bikes than
Mhm.
anybody
Mhm.
else.
Mhm.
And that's important
Mhm.
in terms of striping, all these things that
Mhm.
I learned so much from listening to them that I wouldn't even have occurred to me that it could be in our road specs. And so I think they should weigh in. And I think it's important to make sure that the specs do conform to the Vermont State Complete Streets Guide.
can that help that you're looking for come from more local motion? Like, once I understood that they're funded by CCRPC, which we fund, then I'm like, oh, I don't feel as bad asking them for help.
Mhm.
Local motion.
Local
Mhm.
motion.
That's Jack.
Mhm.
Evans.
Evans.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know how to fix the bike ped group, but I just know that they.
No, I think.
No, but you're saying-
Yeah.
Eric's talking about to inform the road, the public
The
works
public,
specs.
yeah,
If that's
having that a
local.
conversation.
Or ask local motion to help them with whatever.
Mhm. Yeah,
help
right,
they're looking to get
exactly.
at.
Yeah,
I think local motion is the answer.
it's a good idea.
But I feel like that should come from the select board, that direction to bike ped. Reach out to local motion or.
And I know they do plenty, but I don't know. But I mean, they're the only organization that I know that's gonna
Yeah.
help them
Yeah.
along those kind of lines.
It seems like from my perspective, it seems like that maybe we should, if this is appropriate, have Tyler come in and just say like, listen, here's your current public works specs.
Mhm.
Here's what I'm doing. Here's how long it's gonna take me. And then we can talk to him about, what do you know about this? And he can say, oh yeah, that's all built in here. Or like, no, I know nothing about it. Or just, like I said, Catherine's been talking about it for however many years I've been on the board, and I had no idea about any of it.
Right.
And maybe just talking to Tyler and saying, can you just tell us where things, not like, hey, what the hell, but just like, tell us what you're doing, what exists, what has to happen, what your timetable is for what your bandwidth is, for how much we're paying you, just all that, and get a sense of where it all stands.
That's a good idea.
And maybe have Phil come in, because I'm sure she knows the rules. Maybe, I don't know, maybe she doesn't, but say because she's been talking about not just striping, but about the public works specs.
Yeah, she actually gave a couple of recommendations that I
Right,
passed
so if
over
we
to Tyler.
We could invite her to, this is your chance to come in and we're gonna have a conversation about it, and you should come in and be a part of the conversation. Or be public.
And maybe somebody from Bike Ped.
Right, yes, yeah, and Cody or somebody, yeah.
Right, yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Good discussion points. Next on the agenda is approve the meeting minutes of like 17 different dates.
Yeah.
Right?
I have one quick comment. So on the July 6th, on 22 and 27, I am noted as coming out of executive session and adjourning, although I am not mentioned as a member present because I joined at 7:55 p.m. and we adjourned at 8:15 p.m. Not sure how we want to handle that. That was after dinner. Yeah, you were. That was after dinner.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's the 6th. Okay.
That's the 6th. So I don't know how we handle those usually.
Wait, what's the problem?
So this was after dinner with personnel. That I am marked as the one adjourning the meeting. I am not marked as being at the meeting.
That's a typo because you weren't there.
Right.
I was there though.
Oh,
you called me in at 7:55 p.m. and I exited at 8:15 p.m.
So just change it.
So
we wrote it down wrong.
Yeah, you wrote it down right. It was me. Great.
Laura
did it.
Laura.
It was the other one on the board. Great. Thank you.
You joined for a little bit for the ES.
Oh, right, okay.
Okay, so that's the July 6th one.
Oh, but I'm not listed as being present,
That is correct.
but I wasn't in the room.
Right.
When
we started it, you were present. Yeah. You joined later.
Everyone was present.
No, the
Well,
three of you
nobody-
were, the three of you were in here. That's why I didn't know you guys joined
Started the
later.
meeting. There was no
Yeah.
to be heard.
Chris joined the meeting at 6:15.
Right.
Chris joined the meeting at 6:15.
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't say.
Okay.
We need to say that.
Yeah.
Chris joined the meeting at 6:15.
And then Amy joined the meeting at
7:55
7.
is when
Yeah.
my phone says I called you.
Right, we started the meeting, went to executive session, took public comment, to executive session, and then Chris joined the meeting, and later on. Amy joined the meeting.
Okay.
Yep.
That's what we're doing. Thank you.
Okay.
So someone to make a motion for those to get those out of the way.
I make a motion to approve the special select board meeting of July 6th as amended.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 2 more minutes to go. 2
Um,
more meeting minutes. to go. Do we have any yes tonight?
What was June 24th?
yeah, I don't remember June 24th.
Does it talk about the hiring process?
There was one I wasn't here for.
But you're saying you were there for this.
Well,
On
it
notes.
could be because I use a template, so
I know what it was. That was the one interview 1 and 2.
yeah, it was in
That's
that.
why I was
You
wrong.
were, yeah, yep.
Yep,
You were upstairs.
interview sessions.
Oh, right. Okay.
That's what that was.
Yeah.
So I make a motion to approve the special select board meeting minutes of June 24th.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye. And I didn't have anything on the June 18th.
I did not read the unit. Yeah, meetings, it's correct.
Yeah, that was the one you missed out, so,
I read them. They looked good.
yeah.
Oh, I read the meeting, it was perfect.
It was quick too.
I heard that.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Oh, was that in the minutes?
Oh, wait, hold on,
said-
let's,
I said, please, I want this in the minutes, like, I'm better
Hopefully she
chair
did.
than Eric. or
Hopefully she
something.
didn't. I hope she didn't.
I make a motion to approve the meeting minutes of 6/18/26.
They may be amended, hold on.
A second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Does anyone have anything for executive session this evening? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn at 10:09 PM.
I second that.
All those in favor say aye.
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 There was that thing, but we talked about, talking about an executive session.
Next time.
Please.
Let's grind it out. Let's grind it out. Let's grind it out. This will be out this meeting was so long. Yeah.
This is still on, so
Okay.
if
I'd
you.
like to make a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of legal, get premature disclosure of the information we detrimental for the parties involved. I'd like to invite Paul to host them.
I second the motion.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Good night, everybody.
Night.